We're talking about what you're talking about.
Thrown under the bus.
No.
Always live, always real, always unpredictable.
I'm not okay with that.
It sounded good when I thought.
Log on and join our live conversation.
Yes,
I don't like that.
You're 100% right.
Hey, this is John Cena, and Daily Blast Live starts right now.
Thank you, John Cena. We've got an interview with him coming up in just a minute. Welcome to Daily Blast Live. It is Monday, July 22nd. I'm here with Stephanie, Tori, Brandon. I'm Sam. Let's dive right into it. Well, the heartbroken family of this toddler who died after falling from an open window on a cruise ship is speaking out. They say they do not blame her grandfather who set her down by the open window, but they are searching for answers. Watch.
We have a lot of questions, primarily. Why is there an open window in the kids' play area 11 stories off the ground? The first 30 seconds of the day, I don't remember what happened. And then it comes back and I relive what happened.
Oh, that is every parent's worst nightmare. Being a parent to a toddler right around the same age of Sophie's, you don't recover from that. No. I don't think I would ever recover from that.
She dies every day again. For her, every day her child dies. I mean, that's the brunt end of this. And again, I'm not looking out for blood with the cruise company. I get that it was an accident, but when you have an accident and the accident was caused by negligence, it is their fault. You don't have an open window in a children's corner in a pool 11 stories up in a cruise. Any human being would tell you that. So I'm just so glad the grandfather, at least according to his family, is not being blamed.
But well, you know he blames himself.
Of course
you know he faces his own personal hell
at night,
every day.
Absolutely.
And I get that, and that's unfortunate. And like you said, no parent should ever have to bury their child. But the negligence, I feel as though we can say it's on both parts. Because if you look at the simulation of what this cruise ship looks like and what that area, the H2O zone as they call it, that window is pretty high up. And you have to slide that window. Now, I was thinking originally that he put the kid up there on the ledge and it was one of those windows that push out. Then I would have put the negligence on the cruise line. But you have to slide that window, and to say that that window looked like it looked like there was a window there, absolutely not. You should have felt the breeze.
Why is there open Stephanie in here?
I don't think that's fair, Brandon. I think how many times, I'm sure all of us at some point have walked into a glass door at some point in our lives, or you've had a pet that's run into it. It happens at times. You got to think he's slightly older. His eyesight might not be as great as yours, Brandon. But also, like, at that level, at 11 stories high in a children's play area, there should not be any opening windows. That's what AC is for. This is not acceptable. This is a cruise ship's fault.
Come on,
I mean, I try and liken it to, I hear you. Listen, cruise ships are hotels on the water, and I try and liken it to every single hotel out there that is a high-rise. Whether it's Vegas, whether it's New York, whether it's in Hong Kong, they all don't allow you to open up those windows for a reason. So if they all figured it out and erred on the safe side, I just find a big problem in why this cruise ship did not. But chime in, DBL Nation. Please. We do want to hear from you as well. Well, police are searching for answers right now in the double homicide of this young couple. They were found dead on the side of a remote highway in British Columbia. But the authorities investigating are apologizing right now after they used a cat filter on a press conference video they posted to Facebook. Yeah, you can see the cat ears and whiskers on the police sergeant. Tori, how is someone supposed to trust the judgment of this police department in investigating a double homicide when they make grave errors like this?
They can't. That's the short end of it. I think they've lost a lot of credibility here. I think there's got to be some restructuring. If you can't figure out technology, and by the way, there is no automatic cat filter. You know, like, you have to press that, and anyone...
That was their excuse.
That was their excuse. At some point, a 10-year-old can figure this out. So if you don't know, and no one's there for watching your feed, because if you were watching it, you'd say, hey, you got cat ears on.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's funny, and then it's horribly not funny, because two wonderfully in love people were brutally murdered. And
their families are grieving and looking for answers.
Yes, they're just looking incompetent. And you know what? As soon as if there was some kind of technical problem and they could see instantly that was the graphic that was being shown, they should have said, sorry, the live feed is not available at this time.
That's it.
Or recorded a video of it and then posted it at a later date. There's no excuse for this.
Yeah, and I think they should have just owned up to it. Say, hey, my bad on our part. Our social media director person messed up.
Instead of trying
to say it was an automatic filter, because I went on Facebook just now and tried to do a live stream. you have to press on whichever filter you want. And if they, all you have to do is be like, our detectives, they know how to solve homicides. They don't know how to do cat filters.
But it makes you question the details, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's how they handled it. I think Brandon's right. Mistakes are going to happen, but then it's how you recover. And well said, Brandon, well said. This next story has a lot of people seeing red. Should parents be separated from their kids if they can't afford to pay for their kids' school lunch? Well, a Pennsylvania school district is coming under fire right now after sending a threatening letter to parents saying that their child could be removed from their home and placed in foster care if the parents didn't settle their kids' lunch debt. This is atrocious, considering that the local child welfare agency there, as well as local lawmakers, say that's impossible. This is an empty threat, but this is a threat because they're trying to collect debt. That's not the way that you collect debt, going after parents' worst fear.
Not only that, it's embarrassing. It's not right. It's also almost like blackmail or threatening to the parents. I mean, at this point, this is a microcosm of how we look at people in the lower class. We don't say, how can we help? We say, how can we punish, right? How can we threaten? And when you don't lift people out of poverty, you're literally criminalizing a whole class of people. They should be ashamed, but the parents should ask for someone's head to roll.
Well, the superintendent. It falls on the superintendent.
This is so scary. Like, so David Uvasaj, his surname is very difficult, I'm sorry, he was the vice president of the school board. He said this letter was never approved. It is not legal, even though it was sent from a lawyer, which must be petrifying as a parent.
Oh my God.
But the good part of this situation is that Mr. Uvasaj has gone to the school board and he's said that as of August, all children will be entitled to free breakfast and free lunch. Really petitioning hard.
They qualify, and there's a lot that we can do to help these school districts qualify for these universal lunches and breakfasts, and making sure that no child goes hungry. And this school, it fell flat on it. This is something that they should have capitalized on earlier before.
But I want to talk to you as a small business owner, because this superintendent, or the guy who kind of put this into place, said that they've had to cut back employees, they've had to cut back curriculum because of the budget. They needed the money. So you, as a small business owner, you know what that's like if someone owes you money. So what would you say they were supposed to do in that?
They mismanaged how they can utilize programs to help the children that they're there to protect. So they're looking at this as a for-profit, which they shouldn't be. They should be looking at this as a way to better lift up children that are in poverty. And many school districts have figured it out. Many superintendents have figured it out. I suggest that this school learns from those other districts, because this is shameful, absolutely shameful. All right, Tom Brady is catching flack right now for a video he posted to Instagram. It has New England Patriots fans very concerned, as well as some parents. Take a look.
It's just,
a 10. A 10.
I will say this. I don't think he had anything malicious. I'm not a Brady hater. He went to Michigan, go blue. But I do feel like she was really close to the rocks, and she did go in quite sideways. That could have been a bad accident.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. The parent PC police.
I'm really not. I'm fine with it. I just maybe not post it.
Yeah, I think he shouldn't have posted it. But like, I'm kind of with Brandon on this one. Like, you can see she edges forward before he does.
Yes,
and she gives the impression that she's gonna go. She's not saying no, Daddy, please no. And then she kind of stops. But for him, he's already
It's not his fault.
I think we forget, context, right? We don't know the conversation they had before they left. I'm sure if she was saying, I don't want to go, I don't want to go, I don't want to go, they would not have even left. So I'm sure she was like, let's do this, and she chickened out at the very last second. I'm not going to shame him or blame him, but I do find it's hard to watch. He should have known. That's hard to watch.
He could have been
don't post that.
He could have been like, Daddy will win you another Super Bowl if you jump, and then she wanted to back out. She wanted to back out.
I don't think she's going to care about that. She's like 10.
It was a joke, Stephanie. It was a joke. But I'm just saying, my dad, to teach us how to swim, my dad grabbed us, picked us up, and threw us in the pool.
That's not the right way.
Swim. Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
To this day, I am an Olympic doggy paddler. Not true, but kind of. If it's a real sport. But sometimes
I don't judge parents, but guess what? Your dad throwing you into the water as a toddler, he would not have posted that on social media because he would have, or 6 years old, he knows that parents are looking, and that's wrong. That points out a lot about what's wrong with our culture today. But you know what you're getting into when you post those type of videos.
Do you give into the pressure though? That's not your kid.
I just wouldn't have posted it. I agree with Sam.
Keep it to yourself. Her fall looked brutal, let's be real.
And the rocks were like
right.
Final score, judges. Final score.
3.
2.
Okay.
Tried hard.
Yeah. All right, we do want to give a big DBL shout out to Prince George. Today is his 6th birthday, and the palace shared these adorable pictures of the future king. They were taken by his mom, Duchess Kate. So why are so many people saying this is against the grain?
Okay, so normally there's a professional photographer that takes all the pictures and they release them all timely, and it's all very well to do. But in this instance, Kate herself has got her hands, I wouldn't say dirty, but she's got a bit creative.
I love this.
She herself says that she's a very enthusiastic amateur photographer. She's been taking courses. So yeah, I think it's showing a different side to Kate and the royal family.
Do you think the family photographer is like, oh man?
Yeah, he probably is like, man, that's like half my year's salary or something. I've been waiting for birthdays, christenings. Are you kidding me?
I know.
But good for her.
Changing.
I think that might be the Markle Sparkle, Markle effect.
Yeah, Tori reckons she's a bit jelly.
I think she's modernizing. You don't see that people smiling. He's 3rd to the crown. That's a big deal. That he's
cute.
Relaxing.
Wow. DBL's live coming up in just a minute. John Cena is the ultimate nice guy. Tori goes one-on-one with the wrestler turned movie star to find out how he's giving back to America's first responders. And you, the viewer, are our 5th host. Amazon has banned books about gay conversion therapy, but congressional Republicans want them back online. Your comments on that when we come back.
Phones.
We're trying to figure this.
We want parents, DBL Nation, if you're a parent, please write in on this Tom Brady thing, because I absolutely had no problem with this. I'm also
you said your dad pulled you into the water.
No, he didn't pull us in. He just threw us in. He wasn't going to let us drown. But we were a little scared, a little scared of getting in the water. So it's one of those things where sometimes you need that push in life. You saw the little girl kind of clutch to jump, like Stephanie said, and that's what made Tom want to jump. So, she wanted to back out at the last second, but I really don't think it was that big of a deal. The parent PC police on Instagram always writing in on certain things. So please, if you're a parent of DBL Nation, please write in.
I want to know at what point, because listen, as a new mom, I really do welcome a lot of that advice. I think we have to realize some of the advice comes off malicious and some of it comes out of like, hey, I'm a mama of 4, let me pass on this advice to you. I welcome all of that. I think it's just how you phrase it and what's in your heart. And I think, because I know some people will take any unsolicited advice the wrong way, but not all of us. I welcome the advice.
And it was, some of the comments just disturbed me because some of the people wrote in, the NFL should punish him for this.
Yeah, come on. Really?
It makes me want to jump off the cliff now. Like, come on, I think we're doing too much when it comes to that.
Yeah. People get out of control.
Absolutely. And then on the royal pictures, Stephanie, tell who was the mom that took the pictures? Kate, I need some new headshots. I like the Princess Kate.
Duchess.
I need some new headshots.
Duchess of Cambridge? Why wouldn't she be a princess? I get confused by all this.
I actually do get confused by that too. I think when her husband does become king, then she will be sure.
What will she be? Will she ever be a queen or no?
You know what? I think that's.
Welcome back to DBL. It is time for our 5th host when we talk about what you're talking about. Some Republicans want Amazon to lift its ban on selling gay conversion therapy books. Last month, the company announced it would no longer carry the books after an online petition with 80,000 signatures surfaced, calling these books dangerous and destructive. Now a group of conservatives is lobbying to lift the ban because the books are being censored and do not violate Amazon's policy. So DBL Nation, should Amazon sell gay conversion therapy books?
All right, let's get to these comments. Andre from Facebook says, I can only imagine how many kids' lives are truly being saved because of Amazon dropping these dangerous books on child abuse. I didn't know that they did that for child abuse, but I just think that, you know, Amazon is kind of picking what they want to put out there, and I can see why people would be upset on this.
You think it's censorship?
It's definitely censorship in a way.
Mally agrees from you from Facebook. I'm not for censorship. If there are people who want to buy these books, they should be able to. They should be available on Amazon. Some people don't want to be gay. I want you to be very clear on this. The Surgeon General has said that this is destructive, abusive. You cannot change someone's sexual orientation. This is a debunked and destructive myth, and it is horrific to the people that go through it. It has caused many suicides. Here's the reason I'm a Puritan for freedom of speech. I don't like censorship. In 8th grade, I took a banned books class only on banned books, right? The problem with this is when something is so imminently trying to incite violence, that isn't protected speech, right? So I can't yell fire in a movie theater. I can't burn a cross on my lawn if my African American neighbors are right there. It's inciting provocation. This does nothing but incite hatefulness, destruction, and because of that, Amazon took it off, and I'm for it.
Marcos from Facebook says, these books aren't really a threat. The people they were written for likely can't read anyway.
Whoa.
What does that mean?
I think he's saying that the people that are trying to suggest that going to this therapy can't read.
I see.
I believe. And so my interpretation of that is that you're very upset that these books have been created and that you're happy that Amazon aren't going to sell them, in which case I agree with you. But as everything that Tori just said, I want to echo. Like, I think, you know, there's no need. There's no scientific proof that these work. It's just cruel and horrible, and let people live their lives.
Yes, agreed. Locust from Facebook says, if Amazon bans these books, I'm sure there will be more petitions coming their way to ban movies, music, and other forms of art and entertainment. I actually see this as a very clear line. When you're inciting, as Tori said, not only violence, this is no longer speech, in my opinion. This is an act. This is a rubric and how to create something torturous, on how to lead somebody into suicide. So when you're creating a playbook with such destruction, that, of course, should be banned. I don't see any sort of argument on this whatsoever.
All right, Albert from Facebook says, can't they just add an advisory disclaimer and sticker? Business is business, and sometimes people should mind their own. Yeah, Albert, you know, I have to back out of this because, you know, I can't sit there and say, no, they shouldn't put these types of books up, because I read Black Hebrew Israelite books. I read books from the Black Panther. And there are also things on the Amazon books on how to kill yourself. So I just think that this is one of those things, free speech, the Constitution.
And you have to look at case-by-case basis. So instead of you can't have a manual on making a bomb on Amazon, right? Because that's inciting a willful act. To them, to Amazon, this is inciting something that's destructive, and it's so dangerous that it's going to be not protected.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for writing in. We appreciate everything that you all have to say. Queen just made music history again. Raquel Villanueva has the news at the moment. Raquel.
Well, Sam, in 1975, Queen made a music video for Bohemian Rhapsody for less than $5,000. Now it's the oldest music video to ever pass 1 billion views on YouTube. Take a look. Now, I dare you not to have that stuck in your head all day. The staying power of Bohemian Rhapsody is undeniable. It's currently the most streamed song of the 20th century, and it was one of the top search songs on Google last year.
Wow, Raquel, to think that no one wanted to play it in the beginning, and now it's the top streamed song. So it goes to show, if you believe in yourself, just keep on trekking, and you can exceed your expectations and everybody else's.
Or, as the famous Mike Jones used to say, back then they didn't want me, now I'm hot, they're all on me.
I love it. Mike Jones. Yep. Coming up next on DBL, we find out for ourselves why John Cena really is the nicest guy in Hollywood. You do not want to miss Tori's new interview coming up next.
Welcome back to the DBL Stream Team. I'm Leo, here to talk about the trending shows on Amazon, Netflix, and Hulu, guys. This week we've got a special edition for you with the Emmy nominations, so let's dive right in. Starting the pack is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel with 20 nominations. It stars Rachel Brosnahan as Midge Maisel, a housewife in the 50s who pursues a comedy career. Catch this Amazon original streaming on Prime, guys. It's witty, it's funny. Rachel Brosnahan is hilarious in it, so catch it streaming now. Next up, When They See Us has 16 nominations. This documentary by Ava DuVernay tells the story of the Central Park jogger case from 1989. You can watch this show now on Netflix, and this is a really deep one, guys. It really depicts the true story of the Central Park Five, so take out some time and catch this one on Netflix right now. After that is Russian Doll on Netflix with 13 nominations. The show follows a young woman in New York City who must find out why she keeps dying and the night keeps repeating itself. You can stream this original on Netflix right now, and it really reminds me of Groundhog Day chopped down into a series. This one's pretty exciting, guys, so catch it streaming on Netflix. The Handmaid's Tale snagged 11 nominations, and this is set in a horrible future where a woman is forced into being a concubine for an evil dictatorship. You can stream this on Hulu now, and another deep one, but guys, this one deserved all the nominations it got. Next up, Our Planet got 10 nominations, Ozark received 9, and Beyonce's Homecoming got 6. You know what that means? Netflix came in the top 3 again. Last year it actually passed HBO, but this year, not quite. Netflix has 117 nominations while HBO has 137. And you can blame Game of Thrones for that, even though the last season was kind of shaky. Game of Thrones broke the record with the most Emmy noms ever at 32 nominations. Let us know which one of these shows you watch and who you want to see win an Emmy. Catch the Emmys on September 22nd, and we'll see you next time.
Do what I say, and we do it now.
He said no! We're a go for extraction.
No, wait, what?
Ooh, welcome back to DBL. That was a clip from the new movie Playing with Fire, starring John Cena. John Cena! Is that right? Okay. Yeah. Well, the movie comes out this fall, but a nationwide contest for first responders to meet John Cena starts now. And we know we have a lot of DBL Nation viewers that are first responders. So I sat down with the WWE star to get the details, so take notes. That's in today's Chatting with the Stars. John Cena, welcome to Daily Blast Live. First off, congratulations on making your official Fast and Furious debut. But I must ask, the photo they put on Instagram, Vin Diesel is in front of you flexing. So do you think he's doing that on purpose to outshine your magnificent biceps?
I think you're trying to start a little bit of controversy where there is none.
Well, speaking of new movies, the Playing with Fire trailer finally dropped. It looks hilarious and adorable. So I want you to tell me about this contest you're doing for the movie, because a lot of first responders watch DBL, including Denver Fire and a bunch of others. So let us know about this.
Yes, so hilarious, adorable, all that stuff. Playing with Fire is a wonderful ride for the whole family. Kids will laugh, adults will laugh, and the environment is created around these elite first responders called smoke jumpers.
What kind of firefighter are you?
The Playing with Fire hooked up with Good Housekeeping, and we've come up with this hometown heroes concept, where if you are a first responder, and that's fire, medical, police, whatever, or if you know a first responder, because a lot of times they're extremely brave, but also extremely humble.
Humble, yes.
Go to goodhousekeeping.com right now and tell their story or tell your story.
Amen. We bow down here to any first responder, and I'm so glad you're giving them the spotlight they so well deserve. Besides being a WWE star, you might be known for how nice you are. You've done more Make-A-Wishes than any other human being. Talk to me about that.
Thank you very much for bringing up the Make-A-Wish.
Absolutely.
It's something that provides me with constant joy and constant fulfillment. It's an indescribable feeling to see the happiness and the joy on the faces of the children and the families that I meet.
Wow.
So if you're out there and you're listening, take the extra step, take the extra second, and try to choose kindness.
Well, thank you. You are such a gentleman. What a pleasure. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks again.
Thanks. We'll be right back.
How was your weekend? I actually went and saw a screening of The Lion King, and I know it had been getting bad reviews, so I was trying to make sure I wasn't paying attention to them and just going in like objectively, and
Unfortunately for me, I felt like the critics were kind of spot on this one. I didn't want to know what you think if you saw The Lion King this weekend. It was, I guess the best way to describe it is hard to connect to something that doesn't have emotional reactions to it, because the animals are so perfect. It's so beautiful. The lions are so realistic to the point where when they speak, their mouths just move. They don't have like expressions of happiness or sadness. Neither do any of the other animals as part of it. But the like emotions and the voices are still there, but the facial expressions are missing. And somehow I felt like there was a disconnect. Like it was still beautiful. I liked the story. I cried. But it's kind of a little off for me. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. I'm a little sad, but Aladdin, the reviews weren't that great on it, and it kind of exceeded my expectations, so maybe it'll be different for you. I am kind of looking forward to Mulan, actually, because that one, it sounds like they're going in a completely different direction, and I think when you try to recreate magic of something that was 100% beautiful back in the 90s, it's going to sometimes miss the mark, but Mulan is just trying something new. So
90 seconds.
We'll see what happens. Anyway, I will go read your comments now, and I will talk to you next break. See ya.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. What do we have, Tori?
All right, it's a Tom Brady once again.
Yeah.
April says, what's the big deal with the Tom Brady thing? People just need to complain about everything. Kvetch. I think people just thought she was a little close to the rocks and she's going inside.
Yikes. And she didn't want to do it?
Yeah, she got it. No. Lord. But you know what? We've all had those moments. Naomi says, as much as I don't like Tom Brady, he did nothing wrong. If anything, should something bad happen, Tom is right there to help his daughter. Did she hit the rocks?
I think what does it say? Three?
She gets a
You
three.
gave her a 2 before.
I know.
Now you're switching?
Change of heart. Okay. I didn't hit the golden buzzer.
An additional 1 for effort, right?
There we go.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Have a great Monday. Bye, guys.
Years since the lunar landing, on July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were the first humans to step foot on the moon. Most people can remember exactly where they were watching it all unfold. And today, we're looking into the future by talking to Carl Jones. Thank you for joining us today, Carl.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Now, we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, but what can we expect from NASA moving forward?
From NASA, the biggest things that are on the horizon are the launch of Americans from U.S. soil for the first time since the shuttle's been retired via the Boeing CST-100. And then after that, we set our sights on going to Mars, but the first stop is going to be Moon, and so we have the Artemis program and the Gateway program that are going to basically set the way for that for us to go to Mars later on. So the Gateway program is basically going to be a launch point, the International Space Station, but not as big. And it's going to be basically a kind of a launch point. So we'll launch spacecraft from here like we normally do. They'll go to the Gateway, and then they'll take lunar landers from the Gateway down to the surface of the moon. And then later on, once we actually start exploring Mars, it'll be basically kind of an intergalactic, gas station of sorts as a stopping point before they go further. 50 years ago, our biggest goal was to just get to the moon and then bring them back home safely. So now we're trying to actually go to the moon and establish a sustainable environment there, get a base going, and then test a lot of technology that we currently don't understand in order to go to Mars or to go to Mars for a long duration space travel. Right now, we don't understand how the human body reacts or how we could, how astronauts would do in a long duration mission. So a lot of those things we can use on the moon first before we start doing that and start sending humans that far away.
If they had volunteers to go to Mars, would you be one of them?
Yes, absolutely. I've always wanted to go to Mars. Honestly, that has been a lifelong dream of mine. I watch all kinds of movies about it. Obviously, The Martian. This has been a dream.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Because everyone's talking about this.
Always live, always real, always unpredictable.
You think this hair just naturally stays like that?
Log on and join our live conversation.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I do agree with you.
Hey, this is John Cena, and Daily Blast Live starts right now.
Yeah, thank you, John Cena. We have an interview with him coming up in just a minute. Welcome to Daily Blast Live. It is Monday, July 22nd. I'm here with Erica, Jeff, Al. I'm Sam. Let's get right into it. Well, the heartbroken family of this toddler who died after falling from, or out of a window rather, on a cruise ship is freaking out. They say they don't blame her grandfather who set her down by that open window, but they are searching for answers. Watch.
We have a lot of questions, primarily, why is there an open window in the kids' play area 11 stories off the ground? The first 30 seconds of the day, I don't remember what happened. And then it comes back and I relive what happened.
Every parent's worst nightmare.
Absolutely.
I can't even imagine. The first thing I do every morning, just like you do, and I know you do as well, is run to my children, and I can't wait to see, or child, I can't wait to see Sophie. To think that this mother every single day has to relive the death of her child, I don't think I'd recover from that.
Well, I think it's the worst thing you go through as a parent. I hope I never experienced
seriously.
that. So I don't know the emotions that they're going through. Obviously, it's a lot. But I don't know if the cruise ship's to blame. I don't know if the grandfather's to blame. Sometimes terrible things just happen. This sounds like an accident. Just yesterday, I don't know if I should be saying this or not, we're at our pool and everyone's all around, all of our friends, and I had my youngest, Leighton, just like between my legs, and I thought Jordan had him, you know what I mean? Usually we have floaties and all the kids. A half a second,
happens.
I looked down and he was underwater and I grabbed him out like that. I was like, oh my, it freaked me out. But I'm telling you, in a half a second, something could happen. It's nobody's fault. It's not that I wasn't paying attention or my wife wasn't paying attention. It's just these things happen, and luckily, it was a half a second.
Well, Jeff, I think that's the psychology behind why we try and reason through these. Should the window have been there? How high up was it? Did the cruise ship do anything wrong? Did the parents do anything wrong? Was it great? Because we need an answer. It's harder to just say sometimes the worst possible case scenario happens. It just happens, and if you have people that you love, you have a kid that you love, the idea of walking around with that, it's too much for us to bear. So we have to try and be like, well, if the grandfather didn't do that, it wouldn't.
But Al, you worked on a cruise ship,
Yes.
and listen, cruise ships are hotels on the ocean. Every single high-rise I've been to, whether it's in New York City or Vegas, they don't allow you to open up windows because they want to err on the side of caution.
Right.
So shouldn't have this cruise ship done the same thing?
Unfortunately, maybe, sometimes something bad's got to happen in order for the new regulations to be put in. There's a reason that you can no longer open those windows in New York City and Las Vegas, because a couple hundred people jumped out of them before they were like, hey, let's amend this. So unfortunately, sometimes tragedy does have to happen. It's just so hard. So just like, unless you're like a trained therapist for something like this, or just have well wishes, don't attack this family like, oh, well, if the grandfather hadn't been watched, like, don't.
That grandfather is in his own personal hell right now. Do not even go there. I know. Our thoughts and prayers to that entire family right now. Police are searching for answers as we speak in the double homicide of this young couple. They were found dead on the side of a remote highway in British Columbia. But the authorities investigating are the ones apologizing right now after they used a cat filter on a press conference video they posted to Facebook. You can see her cat ears and whiskers on that police sergeant. Erica, this is a police department that you're hoping is investigating this double homicide, but now a lot of people aren't taking this police department very seriously.
Well, we're going to have to, because there are two people who were murdered and their family needs to know why. So I understand that it's comical to a lot of people that this happened, but you're talking about people's lives, and we have to move on from the comedy of the story.
Yeah, I just don't understand how somebody, though, can, for me personally, how much faith am I going to have in a police department? And I get it. They're two totally different things, investigating a case and then using technology. But you can tell when you're doing a live stream when something's awry, whether the sound's not working, whether you have a filter, and I get it. Mistakes are going to happen, so I don't blame them for the mistakes. I blame them for how they handled it in retrospect, right? So they immediately said, well, there is an automatic cat filter on our live stream. There's no such thing as an automatic cat filter, so I want to see them take some accountability and handle their mistake the right way.
Yeah, I mean, just say I made a mistake.
Yes.
You just said it like the last story.
It would have been a non-story.
Mistakes happen. I'd rather them worry about doing their police work than they do about technology on your phone. You know, I'd rather them focus on that. But if someone a little bit older doesn't know, I'm sure a 10-year-old could work that way better than a 60-year-old. They know way better. So if that was the case and someone just hit the wrong button, hey, I hit the wrong button.
That's not what we should be focusing on. You're reasonable. I don't think a lot of people can accept an apology. I think that's why people are so scared.
This is a police department.
I understand, but I'm saying I think that's why people are scared to just say, hey, you know what, I dropped the ball on that one. Because once you admit it doesn't end when you say you're sorry. We've seen a lot of people in politics and entertainment, once they've apologized, people still keep coming at them. So that is why it is a strategy that has been employed by this administration and others to just not admit fault, because that is a strategy. Because once you admit, you say, hey, we're sorry, we dropped the ball on this one.
You open yourself up to,
yes,
right.
And it should be like Jeff said, hey, we messed up, we can move on, let's find out who did this. But instead, a lot of times it leads to more and more turmoil. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know
the
about
good
that.
news is that we're talking about this story, and we probably wouldn't have heard about this story had it not been for that video. So more eyeballs are on it, despite what you think about it.
And I do hope that they
Somebody
are
knows
able
something.
to.
Yeah, you know?
Exactly. Yep. Well, this next story has many of you seen, read, rightfully so. So, should parents be separated from their kids if they can't afford to pay for their kids' school lunch? Well, a Pennsylvania school district is coming under fire right now after sending a threatening letter to parents saying that their child could be removed from their home and placed in foster care if the parents didn't settle their kids' lunch debt. Erica Cobb.
I am mortified by this because it's so disgusting. For starters, the threat of putting a child into foster care, that's not even how the system works.
Yep.
So if you're going to say something like that in order to bully people who clearly do not have the resources to send their children to school with food, which means that the problem is bigger than you not getting the money for the school. But to say you're going to take a child out of the home and place them into foster care because their parents can't afford to pay is nothing but bullying, and it's absolutely disgusting. Do you know that there are over 400,000 kids in this country today in foster care?
Wow.
The number one thing that they want to do is reunification, or also have the next of kin.
Yes.
So if you're going to say something like that, that's just you being evil, and whoever did that needs to be fired.
Erica's absolutely right. So a lot of people are coming for the superintendent, including, I'm glad you brought up these child welfare agencies, because they're outraged. They're saying this isn't who we are. We would never carry out an empty threat like this. This isn't how our system works. So this was, in reality, think about it like a business, and I hate even saying that when it comes to our education system. This was a group of people, including the superintendent, trying to collect a debt. And they tried to collect the debt by placing fear in those parents' hearts by dangling their children in front of them. It is completely unlawful. And now, starting in August, there will be universal breakfast and lunch amongst all the kids that will need it in this school district. But to think that it's had to come to this is absolutely egregious.
We're deciding on whether to feed our kids. That's what we're talking about.
And threatening parents.
That's what this country is.
And threatening parents. It's because people don't value lower income families the same as middle.
I said it on Friday,
people
Sam.
do not
we
value
do not
them.
like poor people.
Yeah.
And we need to at least be honest about this. We make fun of them. We mock them when they work fast food places. Oh, I make the same thing as a burger flipper. Oh, you know, we're too good. If they don't have a job and they stay and they need some government assistance, now they're really going to get it. They'll be called every name under the sun: lazy, welfare queens, you know, all that kind of stuff. So let's just be honest about what this is. Every one of these stories has a different face, but when you scrape the surface, it's all about our dislike of poor people.
Yep.
So I don't know what this country.
Some school districts have done it right.
We all just don't get handouts from our parents. Right. We all don't just get a couple hundred acres that we've done nothing to deserve. We all don't get that. Some people come from nothing.
Amen.
So.
Amen. But I do want to commend those school districts that do this, that do actually embrace these programs. I come from one of those school districts, and nobody ever frowned upon it. It was normalcy. It was empathetic. So some school districts do it right.
Shout out to Aptos.
Yeah, that's Pajaro Valley, exactly. Shame on that superintendent. Well, we do want to give a big DBL shout out to Prince George. Today is his 6th birthday, and the palace shared these adorable pictures of the future king. They were taken by his mom, Duchess Kate. So this is completely against the grain, Jeff, because typically they have like, I wanted to say a White House photographer, but you know, the royal photographer. Do you like this better?
I don't like that I know so much about the royal protocol anymore. I don't want that in my life. She can't take a picture of her son? That's not royal protocol?
No, before. I don't think the children, because this is the future third in line to be the king, right? I don't like that I know all this either. But they're not supposed to smile. They're supposed to look very they're not supposed to. So this is new.
Even a 6th grader can't smile?
No, this is supposed to not.
6-year-old.
6-year-old.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, that kid was not in 6th grade. First of all, I taught 6th grade, and I still thought he was in 6th grade. That shows you what teaching did to me.
Yeah.
It ruined me.
It did. All right, DBL's live, and coming up in just a minute, the Lion King live-action remake roars into theaters, and you're never going to guess who teared up. Plus, John Cena is the ultimate nice guy. Tori goes one-on-one with the wrestler turned movie star to find out how he's giving back to America's first responders. And you, the viewer, are our 5th host. Amazon has banned books about gay conversion therapy, but some congressional Republicans want them back online. Your comments about that coming up next.
Okay, happy Monday, guys.
Okay, cool.
That was
perfect.
That was a tough
thank you.
block. Just the cruise ship death. That's one that's hard to shake. That's like one of those things that I'll always remember covering, because you just know how emotionally for the toddler that fell out of the cruise ship.
I don't know how I would recover.
Is how you will recover.
Think that it would be.
Yeah. The thing that mother said every morning she wakes up, right? You kind of fall into that fog where you think everything's normal, and she's probably excited to see her toddler.
Right.
And then reality sets in, and every morning she has to relive losing her child.
Right.
I can't imagine.
No, I can't. So I can't even speak on it because I don't know the emotions that she's going through. Of course, she wants answers. There might not be any answers, but she wants some kind of closure, and she's in shock right now. So I don't.
Yeah. And that poor
I can't tell her anything.
Must
you know.
Hate himself. That poor.
He's living in his own
I would
hell.
never be able to forgive myself.
Really,
I don't blame him. I just want to be able to forgive myself.
I can only speak for a dude that's got children. You know, after they're 15, 16, now you're just looking forward to being a grandpa.
Yeah.
You know, that's the reason that you stay in shape.
Yeah.
And so I can see these kids as a grandpa. So that, like, to make it there, to be a beloved grandpa. I mean, it's just, you know, it's sometimes it's too much. I just wonder if certain things are just too much to put on one human being. That's just so much. So I know we overuse like thoughts and prayers, but honestly, like,
I know.
That you know, just a massive outpouring of love will really be good for these people. So, DBL Nation, do us a favor and show these people some love.
Yes.
Send some nice comments, nice tweets. Thanks.
Welcome back to DBL. It is time for 5th Host, when we talk about what you're talking about. Some Republicans want Amazon to lift its ban on selling gay conversion therapy books. Last month, the company announced it would no longer carry the books after an online petition with 80,000 signatures surfaced, calling these books dangerous and destructive. Now, a group of conservatives is lobbying to lift the ban because the books are being censored and do not violate Amazon's policy. So DBL Nation, should Amazon sell gay conversion therapy books?
All right, Sam, let's get right to it. Tina from Facebook says gay conversion therapy is unethical and ineffective and should be condemned by every treatment provider with a brain. Amazon, stick to your ban. Tina, I agree that it's been shown that these gay conversion therapy does not work and also is very detrimental to the people that it undergoes. So if they were selling a diet book on Amazon and was shown to do damage to your gut or damage to your insides, I would hope that they pull that book as well. So we have proof saying this is not a good thing.
Well said.
Kyle from Facebook says, this is America. Whatever happened to freedom of speech? You know, I know we all love our freedom of speech. I certainly enjoy it on a daily basis. But unless things like this are going to be considered a self-help thing, which shouldn't be, I don't understand why people are so into having resources out there in order to make someone else something that they aren't. I think that's really the fundamental issue when it comes to all of this, not just homophobia.
Yeah.
All right, Phil from YouTube says, I mean, Amazon is allowed to sell anything and everything, but it doesn't mean we have to agree with it. I'm just saying everything, their slogan was everything from A to Z. Phil, I mean, I guess you have a point there. They should sell anything, but if it's not correct, you shouldn't be spreading that sort of information. My gay friends that I talk to, they say, trust me, if I could convert, don't you think I would? It's not easy being gay. I don't think this is an option for gay people. They are what they are. Conversion, I don't think it's possible, just from what I know, what I know of it.
And Alice from Facebook says Amazon made the correct decision. It would be awful if they reversed it. Here's the thing. Amazon can't sell a book about how to build a bomb. And it's because it's dangerous and it could kill people. Well, this is the same thing. You have every major medical journal and every major medical medicinal professional industry debunk gay conversion, saying that it's not only ineffective, but it's dangerous, it's harmful, and it can lead to death via suicide. So it's the same outcome of building a bomb.
Yeah.
So yes, it should be banned. There's no argument here.
I mean, I really question the motives of why somebody would want this book out there, unless they were somebody that is not a fan of homosexuals and knows that this type of therapy is nothing but detrimental to them. It's been proven with our eyeballs. It's been proven by physicians. So let's not act like we don't know where this comes from.
Yeah. Well, thank you for writing in. We do appreciate all of your thoughts. Queen just made music history again. Raquel Villanueva has news at the moment.
Well, Sam, in 1975, Queen made a music video for Bohemian Rhapsody for less than $5,000. Now it's the oldest music video to ever pass 1 billion views on YouTube. Take a look. Try not having that stuck in your head all day now. Now, the staying power of Bohemian Rhapsody is undeniable. It's currently the most streamed song of the 20th century, and it was one of the top search songs on Google last year.
Wow. Thank you, Raquel. Considering that nobody wanted to play it, right? That's what's so cool.
Well, they didn't even want it out there.
I know. They thought it was too long.
That's always the best stuff.
I know, right?
I would think Gangnam Style would have been the most streamed song.
Gangnam Style? That was so
like
long ago.
But don't
You're comparing Bohemian Rhapsody to
that came out in the
Style?
70s.
You're comparing Bohemian Rhapsody to Gangnam Style.
Was earlier than Bohemian Rhapsody. What's that look? I'm saying
Gangnam Style was before Bohemian Rhapsody?
No, it was after it, meaning it was more recent. So I would think that more
why would it have more downloads?
You ever hear digging yourself out of a hole?
No, I'm sticking with this one. What's Erica? What's the look?
Yeah. Because it's younger, it should have more views.
Right. Because nope. Nope. Coming up on DBL, country star Keith Urban is getting personal. We'll tell you how his lyrics are making wife Nicole Kidman blush. And we find out for ourselves why John Cena really is the nicest guy in Hollywood. You do not want to miss Tori's interview with him coming up next.
Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to DBL, your digital break with Brandon London. Let's get straight into this fifth host. A lot of you all have been writing in. I mean, look at all these comments right here that you all have been writing in on the fifth host, talking about if Amazon should be banning the books on gay conversion, those books. So let's get straight to it. Kenzia Thompson, watching on Facebook, King5 in Washington, says, if this nation still believes in free speech, however offensive some may find it, I don't like the idea of Nation's bookstore preemptively censoring something or someone. Lisa Parnell, watching from 11 Live 11 in Houston, H-Town, says no, 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 and no. If they want to sell it, that is one thing, but to be forced to is wrong. So we've been getting in, I'm going to keep reading in comments. I'm just going to throw in my 2 cents here. As much as I hate what the book stands for, what the book represents, because I have a sister who is LGBTQ, and I would never come to her with a book that's saying, hey, let's try something on you that's some shock torture or some sort of conversion to make you become what you don't want to be or what you're not. I'm not with that idea of that, but at the same time, I read different things. I read other books that, Black Panther books, or I read, I look online at Black Hebrew Israelite YouTube things, and should Amazon ban those as well? Absolutely not. So I believe in the First Amendment on this one.
Give me a line. What I say, and we do it now.
He said no! We're a go for extraction.
No, wait, what?
Ooh.
Welcome back to DBL. That was a clip from the new movie Playing with Fire starring John Cena. The movie isn't out until this fall, but a nationwide contest for first responders to meet John Cena is in full swing. Our very own Tori Shulman sat down with the former WWE superstar to learn more. And don't worry, she got the scoop on John's new role in Fast and the Furious 9 too. That's today's Chatting with the Stars.
John Cena, welcome to Daily Blast Live. First off, congratulations on making your official Fast and Furious debut. But I must ask, the photo they put on Instagram, Vin Diesel is in front of you flexing. So do you think he's doing that on purpose to outshine your magnificent biceps?
I think you're trying to start a little bit of controversy where there is none.
Well, speaking of new movies, the Playing with Fire trailer finally dropped. It looks hilarious and adorable. So I want you to tell me about this contest you're doing for the movie, because a lot of first responders watch DBL, including Denver Fire and a bunch of others. So let us know about this.
Yes, so hilarious, adorable, all that stuff. Playing with Fire is a wonderful ride for the whole family. Kids will laugh, adults will laugh, and the environment is created around these elite first responders called smoke jumpers.
What kind of firefighter are you?
The Playing with Fire hooked up with Good Housekeeping, and we've come up with this hometown heroes concept, where if you are a first responder, and that's fire, medical, police, whatever, or if you know a first responder, because a lot of times they're extremely brave, but also extremely humble.
Humble, yes.
Go to goodhousekeeping.com right now and tell their story or tell your story.
Amen. We bow down here to any first responder, and I'm so glad you're giving them the spotlight they so well deserve. Besides being a WWE star, you might be known for how nice you are. You've done more Make-A-Wishes than any other human being. Talk to me about that.
Thank you very much for bringing up the Make-A-Wish. It's something that provides me with constant joy and constant fulfillment. It's an indescribable feeling to see the happiness and the joy on the faces of the children and the families that I meet.
Wow.
So if you're out there and you're listening, take the extra step, take the extra second, and try to choose kindness.
Well, thank you. You are such a gentleman. What a pleasure. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks again.
Thanks.
Great interview. I love that guy. Coming up on DBL, a major American city is killing 2 birds with 1 stone. We'll tell you all about the controversial plan to control the goose population. And many are saying this Fresh Prince of Bel-Air parody video went too far. But should the people in the video have been fired? We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
story for you coming right now from AP News. It is actually trending right now. It's the hotel chains and the hotel businesses. They are caught in the middle of a fight between immigration and migrants and housing migrants. So right now, they are being asked by ICE, groups like Marriott and MGM, not to house them if they'd been arrested by ICE before. Now, this is just one added layer that you don't think about in all the things that immigrants go through. Last year, United Airlines, an American didn't want to fly migrant children separated from their families, so private businesses are now getting involved in what the government is doing, but in different ways. It affects them differently, and I want to know your opinion on this. Is it fair for the government to dictate how a private business should run? Because at this point, that's exactly, or is a business allowed to do what they want, set up their rules, and make it themselves? This is a tricky line to cross, and I really do want to know your opinion because there's so many levels to this issue that I don't think people think about, and this is especially one of them. Where they're going to stay? Are they allowed to stay at hotels? Anyway, DBL Nation, let me know, and I will talk to you next break. Bye.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. What do we got, Al?
All right, Sam. Janine says, she's speaking about Kate Middleton. Do you think Kate is trying to be more like Meghan Markle and shake up the monarchy?
Some are saying it's the Markle Sparkle because she just kind of dances to the beat of her own drum, and they think that Kate's trying to keep up with the Joneses. Do you
I
think
will
so?
never say Markle Sparkle. I don't care what happens. I will quit this job first.
Is she keeping up with the Joneses?
I think it's a collective effort.
Okay. All right. Here's what's coming up next on DBL.
The Lion King dominates the box office and our hearts. Who's the tough guy superstar who was reduced to tears by the movie? Then, Kiss and Tell with Keith Urban. You won't believe what he calls wife Nicole Kidman in the bedroom. And a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air spoof misses the mark.
Now, this is a story all about how we turn the real estate market upside down.
But did the people who made it deserve to get fired? That and more when DBL comes back.
Welcome back to the DBL Stream Team. I'm Leo, here to talk about the trending shows on Amazon, Netflix, and Hulu, guys. This week we've got a special edition for you with the Emmy nominations, so let's dive right in. Starting the pack is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel with 20 nominations. It stars Rachel Brosnahan as Midge Maisel, a housewife in the 50s who pursues a comedy career. Catch this Amazon original streaming on Prime, guys. It's witty, it's funny. Rachel Brosnahan is hilarious in it, so catch it streaming now. Next up, When They See Us has 16 nominations. This documentary by Ava DuVernay tells the story of the Central Park jogger case from 1989. You can watch this show now on Netflix, and this is a really deep one, guys. It really depicts the true story of the Central Park Five, so take out some time and catch this one on Netflix right now. After that is Russian Doll on Netflix with 13 nominations. The show follows a young woman in New York City who must find out why she keeps dying and the night keeps repeating itself. You can stream this original on Netflix right now, and it really reminds me of Groundhog Day chopped down into a series. This one's pretty exciting, guys, so catch it streaming on Netflix. The Handmaid's Tale snagged 11 nominations, and this is set in a horrible future where a woman is forced into being a concubine for an evil dictatorship. You can stream this on Hulu now, and another deep one, but guys, this one deserved all the nominations it got. Next up, Our Planet got 10 nominations, Ozark received 9, and Beyonce's Homecoming got 6. You know what that means? Netflix came in the top 3 again. Last year it actually passed HBO, but this year, not quite. Netflix has 117 nominations while HBO has 137. And you can blame Game of Thrones for that, even though the last season was kind of shaky. Game of Thrones broke the record with the most Emmy noms ever at 32 nominations. Let us know which one of these shows you watch and who you want to see win an Emmy. Catch the Emmys on September.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Because everyone's talking about this.
Always live, always real, always unpredictable.
You think this hair just naturally stays like that?
Log on and join our live conversation.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I do agree with you.
DBL starts right now.
Welcome to DBL. We are live. Let's get started. The Lion King is a big hit at the box office. It made $185 million during its opening weekend, despite the very bad reviews. The audience loved it, giving the movie an 89% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Aquaman actor Jason Momoa is on the same page. He posted these photos on Instagram with his family saying the movie made him cry numerous times. I can't wait to see this movie. I know you're looking forward to it.
Yes.
But Eric, what was the last movie that you saw that made you cry? Can you remember?
Yes. Well, it was on Saturday, and it was Waiting to Exhale.
Yes. I've been there. I know.
I go through so many phases with this movie, but it makes me cry.
What part?
I cried through a lot of the parts.
Yeah.
I mean, when Bernie gets left, and then when they all decide, or then when there's so many.
So that was your Saturday night.
Saturday night was crying, yeah.
And what about you, Jeff? Do you have a movie that always makes you cry?
I have a ton of them, Rudy, whatever, but Armageddon, man, is the one I shut it off at the end. When she's like, Dad, don't go, and he throws Ben Affleck out and he jumps in there and he's like, give this patch to my daughter. Dude, I'll cry right now.
You're
Are you
crying.
crazy? If you don't cry during that, you should go away.
I cry, I cry at like the opening of an envelope. I cry at anything, but I saw Moana for the first time this weekend.
The best.
I know, and when the grandmother, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Moana, but when the grandmother passes away and then turns into the stingray, I couldn't stop sobbing. Uncontrollable sobs.
Yeah.
What about you,
Al?
Al?
It's weird, honestly, and it's funny, we were just talking about this during the break. When I was in Boise doing shows, I had a bunch of time during the day. I was like, let me just watch Homecoming, whatever, a little Beyonce, because I knew it was long.
Oh, Erica, I know.
40 minutes into that, I am by myself on a couch in an Airbnb with tears coming down my face. And honestly, for anybody that's never seen it, for me, when you see all the hard work that she put into that, I honestly felt guilty because I was like, no one should ever work this hard for my entertainment. I felt humbled by somebody caring that much about my visual and auditory experience.
It's magnificent.
I've never seen, she pushed herself.
Erica's waiting for the perfect moment to watch it.
I
Go to
need
Boise, Erica.
the perfect moment.
I know, Erica. I want to be there when you watch it. Can I?
Erica's going to be a mess.
I would have to be by myself.
Yeah. Okay.
It's going to be a whole moment.
Fair enough. Yep. Soak it up. Soak it in. Okay. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban are couple goals. Did you know that Keith writes about his wife in some of his songs? Listen to the lyrics of Gemini. Ooh, you heard he said she's a maniac in the bed, but a brainiac in the head. So now Nicole's responding. In an interview, she says, quote, I don't censor his art, but it is a little embarrassing. It's better than saying, God, I'm so bored, make an effort, Nicole. Don't just lay there. That's funny. That's pretty much what
Makes
you
a
just
song called
said.
Starfish. No, I mean, I think it's a good thing.
Do you ever talk about personal stuff? Because you're on a stage and you're supposed to connect to your audience when you do stand-up. Do you ever go there when it comes to like sex and details?
I do, but I change names just to protect the innocent, you know? Yeah, especially if we're talking about sex or anything like that. But I actually like this idea because I want people to understand that just because you're in a partnership doesn't mean you're that, Thursday after Jeopardy, we have sex. It's like you can still have you can still have a wild sex life even with just one partner. So I think it's a good thing. Yeah, have at it.
What do you think about it being in their art, though? Like, would your husband want you talking about it so freely, perhaps on this platform?
Honestly, my husband's Canadian, and I feel like they think about these things a little differently. He's not as like buttoned up about it because it's kind of like a pedestrian conversation, whereas I think he's probably a little bit more free in a respectful way than I am in a lot of capacities. But I don't have a problem talking about sex because it's not that big of a deal.
But what about your personal sexual experience with your partner? Like, is it different than obviously just talking about sex in general?
I wouldn't, like, if I were out with a group of girlfriends, I wouldn't go into detail about what we were doing, but I would definitely talk openly about the fact that we are having sex consistently. Right. It's great.
But what if you weren't? Would you talk about that?
Probably not, because it would be seen as disparaging.
Right.
So I wouldn't say, I guess I only say it to pump his tires, not to deflate them.
There we go. All right.
That's good. That's good. And then really quickly, you and Jordan, I mean, everybody knows that you had a showmance on Big Brother. So do people try and ask you about that stuff?
Yeah, but we never did anything on Big Brother.
You didn't ever kiss or anything?
Oh, yeah, we kissed, but we didn't have sex on Big Brother. A lot of people.
Do people have sex on Big Brother?
Some people do.
Really?
But we try to, I mean, I'll talk about my sex life, but I'm not going into details. You know what I mean?
I don't go into detail either.
We're very open about things, you know, but sometimes I just want to, my wife I want to protect a little bit, my family I want to protect, but we're pretty open.
Fair enough.
All right, with the Mr. Care, have you talked about it?
I don't think my husband would care at all. I think he's very he's very open. He's not conservative when it comes to the bedroom. But for me personally, I think if I was out, I think it's different. Out with a group of girlfriends, I would talk about it, but I don't think I would go into details like Erica. I don't know what it is. I just kind of keep that to myself.
You don't want to be judged. What works for you might not work for somebody else. That's for me.
For
you know
me,
what I mean?
It's not judgment. It's just I want to keep that to myself and my husband. That's all.
Yeah, that's good too.
Yeah. All right. But no problem talking about it on the show.
I know.
Tom Brady is catching flack right now for a video he posted to Instagram. It has New England Patriots fans very concerned, as well as some parents. Watch.
I see nothing wrong with this. First of all, if you watch the whole video, Tom Brady's the one that's up last. His daughter's like, come on, Dad. So he has to come up there. Then she faked like she was jumping there. So he had to go, and he's being a good dad, holding her hand to make sure she doesn't go into the rocks. Because if you hesitate, she might have fell into the rocks.
Down the side.
So look, she goes like she's going there. So he has no choice but to go.
It looks bad. And listen, I'm with you. I do not blame him. I don't shame him. I'm sure I had moments like this with my dad. I'm sure I'm going to have moments like this with my daughter, who is fearless, by the way. Sophie is fearless. It scares me. However, it's strange that he posted it. He should be able to, but knowing that the parent police are ready to attack, why would he post that?
I don't know. That's terrifying.
It doesn't look good.
If that were my husband and my daughter, I would have to push him off that cliff.
You would be
I never thought about doing something like that.
Although, what if your daughter the whole time is, I want to do it, I want to do it, I want to do it. Maybe they've already done it, and this is the one time that it went awry. So we forget that there's always context before. But yeah, it doesn't look good. It don't look good.
Also, it's terrifying. I don't know. I think your kid might say that until they get there. Like I had to, when I hosted this travel show, and we went to Jamaica and went to Rick's Cafe and jumped off of that. And I mean, it was the guy that went before me, he was holding his nose like this to go down, and he hit the water so hard it came up, and it like cut like right on the inside of his eye. He's like covered in blood, and I had to go next, and I was like, oh my God.
No.
Yeah, it's jumping, cliff diving is really scary. It's not even like the pool, so I mean, that's a little much. I'm sure you've
I've jumped off stuff,
Yeah, it's scary. I'm
going to fire my kids right off of there, too, but I won't post it.
Yeah, don't post it. Don't post it.
Okay, Macy's is facing a lot of backlash right now for these plates. They have circles on them with labels. Take a look. Okay, look at that. This one says skinny jeans on the inside circle, then favorite jeans, and then mom jeans. So clearly with portion control, people on Twitter are calling out the department store, saying these plates promote eating disorders. Macy's has removed the plates, admitting they missed the mark on this product. Yeah, it just makes you feel icky.
Well, I mean, again, I know you guys are going to bash this, but you guys could go ahead and bash it. I'm not. You know what I mean? I'm very honest. I'm very blunt with myself. You know what I mean? I grew up with all brothers, maybe two. But Jordan will be like, "Are you going to eat that, fatty?" Like, that's how we talk to each other. You know what I mean? So it's like, "Oh man, maybe I shouldn't have this." This is all about portion control. Granted, it might not be the best and not work for everybody.
Portion control, one thing, but to write skinny jeans, favorite jeans, mom jeans is a way to shame you.
Sam, it's not shaming. It's motivation.
What if a dietitian sold plates that had a square where it said greens, a square that said starches,
that's different,
and a square that said
meat? There's no shame
involved. It's just the. But who's saying that mom jeans are something to be shameful for? I like that.
You know what they're painting,
I like that.
Al.
I like mom jeans.
You know what they're painting. Skinny jeans is the goal.
A lot of guys like bigger girls.
I understand that, and I agree with you.
Sorry, I'm getting so loud.
I'm just saying the plate. Okay, Erica, chime in. I'm just saying the plate. They glorify the center being the smallest little portion when a lot of young women and young men, young boys and young girls struggle with eating disorders. And when you glamorize something like skinny jeans in the center, it is dangerous, in my opinion.
The difference between what you were saying, Al, and what this is saying is that's a helpful guide. This, if I put something like cake in the middle, or cupcake, a small cake, a large cake, I mean, it's not helpful in any way. It's just really trying to tell you this is what smaller people can eat and this is what larger people can eat. That's not helpful.
Yeah. Well said. There, she broke it down.
Shout out to the mom jeans.
She broke it out. Yeah, I love me a pair of mom jeans. Come on.
You don't wear mom jeans.
I always wear mom jeans. Yeah, I do.
When?
All the time.
What are mom jeans these days?
They're just a little bit higher rise.
But those are
I love high rise. Those aren't mom jeans.
Yeah, that's not what they're referring to.
All right.
All right. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood because we're getting our first look at the new Mr. Rogers movie. Brandon London has all those details coming in hot.
Oh, you got to say it like Mr. Rogers, Sam. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Okay, that was corny. But in the trailer, we see a cynical journalist assigned to follow the optimistic Mr. Rogers for a magazine article and find out if he's really the guy everyone loves on TV. Take a look.
Profiling Mr. Rogers.
Lloyd, please don't ruin my childhood.
This piece will be for an issue about heroes. Do you consider yourself a hero?
We are trying to give the world positive ways of dealing with their feelings.
That's right, neighbors. You can catch A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood in theaters November 22nd. Back to you guys.
That was
nice. Yeah.
Oscar.
What do you think of that face for Erica? I like that he went on. He got
thank you. I like it, Brandon.
That was commitment. That was commitment, Erica.
Thank you. Would you rather watch me mail in a coming in hot?
No.
All right.
No.
I like how Brandon does.
Me too.
Yeah, okay.
Enthusiasm. We love you, Brandon.
You said I'm not enthusitic?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
But sometimes
you
you'll
kind
just,
of insinuated.
But sometimes you'll phone in some teleprompter.
I definitely will.
He's honest. That's one thing he is.
Nothing
He's
else.
honest. Coming up on DBL, a boys' lemonade stand does big business with the help of a guardian angel. Don't miss this emotional heartthreads. But first, a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air parody gets a group of co-workers in hot water. Find out why people are calling it tone deaf. That's coming up next.
Keep it down.
Are you guys excited about the Mr. Rogers movie? Hold on, I have a question. Brianna.
Yes.
Or is it Brianna?
Brianna.
What do you think it is where I can't get that?
I don't know.
I don't
Anna,
know.
think Anna, Brianna.
Anna.
Brianna of Tarth, think of that.
Okay, Brianna of Tarth. Does Mr. Rogers do anything for you, or is that just
Do you have
way
any...
past your time?
That's past my time.
So he's just like a crazy old man in a house?
Yes.
Okay.
What, are you interested in watching the movie, though?
No.
Tom Hanks will win an Oscar for that.
By the way, she's not really a camera hog. She's
No.
just like, can you stop talking to me, please?
Yes. Do you think he'll win an Oscar for that? I think he's definitely going to win an Oscar.
I think he's in the running just because it's so nostalgic and interwoven into people's childhoods that unconsciously it's going to like bring good feelings out of people, you know, unless it was like a hit piece.
And already just from the trailer, he nails it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't think I really got into Mr. Rogers that hard.
I don't know if I was either. It was a little soft for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Even as a little kid, I thought it was weird. Like a man coming into a house that's empty, he's talking to himself. And then he goes over to that fairyland.
With the
train that has its own other universe inside his other. It's a multi-level universe that he's talking to. It's weird.
I was more of a Tom and Jerry guy.
Oh yeah, just a good.
Dude, I don't think they could have those cartoons
just
anymore.
Run around the corner and just run right into a shovel.
Just smash. Every episode they smash each other's head 10 times.
Yeah, yeah. It's weird.
Those were good though.
My kids still like those though.
Oh, they still watch it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's. Oh,
Yeah,
I thought they
still
like took
watch
them off the air. There's some good ones. Remember the little mouse cousin? He's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
with his guitar, and he kept pulling Tom's whiskers out.
I remember.
Remember it?
Welcome back to DBL. Controversy comes in all shapes and sizes, like killing geese in parks for meat or a rap video by a real estate agency gone horribly wrong. And yes, these are just two stories, real stories making headlines, national headlines, and both are getting people heated, and both take place right here in Denver. Well, let's start with the geese. These birds are causing quite the ruckus in our Denver backyard. 1,600 geese were just rounded up and then turned into meat for food banks. It's all an effort to control the goose population. Denver officials say parks are overwhelmed with geese, you know what? But a lot of people think the city's plan smells foul. Should the geese have been spared, or did the city do the right thing? Head to dblvote.com to chime in.
I don't know. I think this is a great idea. You can't have all these geese ruining property. You can't have goose poop everywhere. You know what I mean? You need to do something about it. So what better than take a great food source and give it back to the homeless or people or food banks that need it? I think it's a terrific idea.
I think they could have done it much better. There's a lot of different cities and different countries like Canada that really attack this type of a situation in a more humane way. They get ahead of it. They rub corn oil on the geese's eggs so that they don't hatch. And there's plenty of programs and initiatives to feed the homeless. And I just don't think, listen, I love animals. I love geese. I don't think this is right.
Yeah, I think, just in terms
I think it was resourceful. 1,000%.
I mean, it's better than having people and individuals poison things that they eat and having dead geese all over. They're doing it.
That would not have been right either.
Right,
Yeah, but
this is that's also the way that people handle it. So I think this is a situation where no situation is going to be ideal. I mean, either we take the geese and we move them 1,000 miles somewhere and displace them. We either eat them, or we kill them, or give some kind of agent to kill them. Neither one of those is appealing for a number of reasons. But if one of those results in homeless people being able to eat, being given another day to possibly put themselves back on their feet, I think that's the option that I would go with.
Yeah.
All right, and let's look at what our DBL Nation says. No. Should the geese have been saved? No, 56%. All right, so I'm alone on this one. Denver is in the middle of another contentious debate. It's over a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air parody video by members of a real estate team. So in the video, employees rapped about selling luxury homes in Denver. Wow, they took down the video and the agency cut ties with the team. They also lost at least one client from the backlash. So we need to hear from you, DBL Nation. Was the video offensive or harmless fun? Go to dblvote.com to chime in. Erica.
Yeah, so here's my issue with this. I feel like Kentwood decided to let them go while still, it's like absolving themselves of the situation while still benefiting from the issue. Because the issue that we're talking about is Denver's housing crisis, which there is one. When you talk about gentrification, larger cities like New York, Chicago, Oakland.
Right.
I have my grandparents' ledger for their home in Chicago, on the west side of Chicago, which shows that they paid off their property in 1971.
Wow.
I hold on to this because people need to understand that gentrification is a very real issue and it affects families for generations. My family decided that they were going to purchase their home despite the backlash, because you have to remember, in Chicago it was a black belt, which meant that blacks could only live in certain communities. Then they moved on to restrictive covenants, which meant that you could not go into other areas. It was illegal to rent to blacks or sell to blacks. This is something that came up again in 1970 when Trump was accused of the very same thing. Then we went on to redlining, where we took issues where you have certain communities and we say that it's poor or it's not safe to live there. And then they have you put down a small deposit with large balloon rates for monthly payments. That meant that there were multiple families living in the same home in order to afford it, which meant that the streets became ghettos and overrun because there were too many tenants in the home. Gentrification is a very real thing. So when people are talking about this today, I think it's more important that we educate, especially now that we're in Denver in the moment, as opposed to just saying, well, you're fired and moving on, because the person who fired them is still going to benefit from gentrification.
Thank you for that, Erica. You know, unfortunately, we have 69% of our viewers that say, no, it's just harmless fun, but just really think about what Erica just said. And I encourage all of you to continue to do additional research. And I think you'll see why a lot of people are offended by that video. We'll be right back.
Hey DBL Nation, welcome back to Beauty Blast. I wanted to take a moment and say, I know you guys, we miss each other so much. Let's bring it on and give a hug real quick. I miss you guys so much, but I want to make sure that you guys saw my beautiful model that I'm working with today, Miss Lex. What's up, Queen? Thank you for joining us. And today, we're going to be talking about some more red light beauty tips. Now, for today, I want to show you guys how you can just use one good old lipstick to create a whole look. And yes, honey, you're going to slay the whole summer away with this look, okay? So let's get it popping right away, guys. I'm gonna take a nice little coral lipstick that you might not be using all that often. Now, this guy's from Yves Saint Laurent, but good old Maybelline or CoverGirl works just fine too. Now, I like this guy because it is more on the matte side, and I'm actually going to use it as her eyeshadow, her blush, and her lip today. You ready, girl?
I'm ready.
Let's do this, honey. So just to start off, you're gonna need a single eyeshadow brush, there we go, and a single lipstick, preferably more on the matte side. Shine's just gonna look real glossy, unless you're into that kind of look. Cool. Now, we're gonna take a little bit on our little eyeshadow brush here, and I'm gonna go ahead and have you close, thanks Lex, and take a little bit from the middle of the eye outwards. And on this one, I'm gonna just blend it out, and I'll have you guys take a closer look on the next one here, on the other eye. Now with this, I like to use more of a dome-shaped brush because this is going to give a little bit more control with where you're placing this cream at, and it's also going to make sure that it looks very soft and even as well. Go ahead and turn that way for me. Queen, y'all check that eye out, girl. That's a whole look in itself, okay? Now I'm gonna have you guys look a little bit closer for this side. Ready? Here we go. Taking a little bit. Notice I only tapped a pinch onto my brush because you don't need very much when you are using it on your eye. And you're taking it from the inner portion of the eye outward, so it blends out very, very softly. This should take little to no time, guys. This is such.
Welcome back to DBL. Today's Hard Threads is all about honoring the memory of a loved one. Watch how a young boy's lemonade stand paid tribute to the hero in his life.
After this little boy lost his dad, his community made sure his lemonade stand was a smashing success. 6-year-old Brady and his dad Brandon planned to open a lemonade stand together. But Brandon lost his battle with cancer before they could. The day after his dad passed away, Brady opened for business. A police officer stopped and learned Brady's story. The officer radioed the other police, who told the firefighters, and soon, Brady's lemonade stand was booming. A simple act of kindness from their neighbors meant the world to a mom and son.
What a great community. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
I have music stuck in my head today. It's Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Wake up! I hope you've had your coffee so far. Thank you all for watching the show. How'd you like that, Mr. Rogers coming in hot, huh? Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Classic El Jefe. He always builds me up. Let's get to some of your comments about everything. And the first one that popped out, sensitivity training on YouTube says, "Damn good work, Brandon." You know, thank you. This is like my Oscar speech right now. I want to thank you all for watching and loving the work that I do here. You really make me feel appreciated, DBL Nation. Michael Loveland on YouTube writes in, "Did everyone forget about Engineer Bill and Captain Kangaroo?" Angela Davis on YouTube says, "Captain Kangaroo was the best." Sensitivity Training again writes in, "Oh yes, Captain Kangaroo and Mr. Green Jeans and Dancing Bear." Am I missing something? What was everybody talking about Captain Kangaroo for? Michelle Hawkins on Facebook writes in, "Censorship is a slippery slope. Sell the book whether you like and agree with it or not." I think she's referring back to the fifth host if Amazon should ban, or should companies just ban books or any sorts of videos, anything out there. And I just look at it like this. Okay, we're gonna ban, Amazon has banned it, and now there's this rise in this petition. And I just think about how Nike's sales rose when people said that they were going to ban Nike because of Kaepernick. Sometimes going public with a ban and saying you're going to ban something makes people go out and actually buy the product. So I want to keep an eye on this and see the sales in this book, or the books from this author, or about this genre, about I don't even want to say it because I don't believe in it, but I want to see what the sales are like. Rochelle Higgy watching on Facebook, King5 in Washington says, "If you kill them, don't waste the meat, feed the homeless." Talking about the geese. I actually thought it was a great idea. In Charlottesville, Virginia, where I went to high school, we keep a longer deer hunting season because we have an overpopulation of deer. So I would like, I think this is a great idea that if during that overpopulated season you shoot a deer, you give that to the homeless or something, and that'll be able to feed the homeless. So I think what Denver is doing with the geese thing is absolutely phenomenal. Margot on YouTube says, "Man, once again, I'm not a fan of censorship. You don't like the video, don't watch it." So thank you all for writing in. Sam. Oh, there's Sam right there. There's Sam right there. She's going back up to the desk. We got more Dave Blast Laugh coming up now.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. What do we have, Erica?
Well, they're about the plates. Michael on YouTube says those plates are insulting, not needed in our society. Margot on YouTube says, "Schroeder, I agree with you. Those plates are not a big deal. Get over it."
Thank you, Margot. I thought there was a shot coming my way for sure. If you don't like it, buy a different plate.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I can see that.
You know what I mean? Like, why are people so offended these days? If someone offends me, turn your cheek and do something else. You know what I mean? Eat off another plate.
I just think.
Why aren't you talking? Are you eating off of some plate?
I was eating, yes. I was. Oh, cool. Let's zoom on in.
What were you eating? Let's see if we can find out.
I had pita and hummus. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same time. Bye, guys.
Tomorrow marks 50 years since the lunar landing. On July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were the first humans to step foot on the moon. Most people can remember exactly where they were watching it all unfold. And today, we're looking into the future by talking to Carl Jones. Thank you for joining us today, Carl.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Now, we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, but what can we expect from NASA moving forward?
from NASA, the biggest things that are on the horizon are the launch of Americans from U.S. soil for the first time since the shuttle's been retired, via the Boeing CST-100. And then after that, we set our sights on going to Mars, but the first stop is going to be Moon. And so we have the Artemis program and the Gateway program that are going to basically set the way for that, for us to go to Mars later on. So the Gateway program is basically going to be a launch point, the International Space Station, but not as big. And it's going to be basically a kind of a launch point. So we'll launch spacecraft from here like we normally do. They'll go to the Gateway, and then they'll take lunar landers from the Gateway down to the surface of the Moon. And then later on, once we actually start exploring Mars, it'll be basically kind of an intergalactic, gas station of sorts as a stopping point before they go further. 50 years ago, our biggest goal was to just get to the Moon and then bring them back home safely. So now we're trying to actually go to the Moon and establish a sustainable environment there, get a base going, and then test a lot of technology that we currently don't understand in order to go to Mars or to go to Mars for a long duration space travel. Right now, we don't understand how the human body reacts or how we could, how astronauts would do in a long duration mission. So a lot of those things we can use on the Moon first before we start doing that and start sending humans that far away.
If they had volunteers to go to Mars, would you be one of them?
Yes, absolutely. I've always wanted to go to Mars. Honestly, that has been a lifelong dream of mine. I watch all kinds of movies about it, obviously.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Because everyone's talking about this.
Always live, always real, always unpredictable.
You are totally off base here.
Log on and join our live conversation.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I do agree with you.
Hey, this is John Cena, and Daily Blast Live starts right now.
3, 2. Yes, thank you, John Cena. We have an interview with him coming up in just a minute. Welcome to Daily Blast Live. It is Monday, July 22nd. I'm here with Tori, Jeff, Al. I'm Sam. Let's get right into it. The heartbroken family of this toddler who died after falling out of a window, an open window on a cruise ship, is speaking out. They say they don't blame her grandfather, who set her down by that open window, but they are searching for answers. Watch.
We have a lot of questions, primarily. Why is there an open window in the kids' play area 11 stories off the ground? The first 30 seconds of the day, I don't remember what happened. And then it comes back and I relive what happened.
Oh, Jeff, my heart breaks for her. This is every parent's worst nightmare. I don't know how I would recover. And the fact that she's reliving this trauma every single morning is it's unfathomable.
Yeah, I think every parent's worst nightmare is, outliving your children, no matter how old they are. So it's terrible. I can't even describe what she's going through because I've never witnessed it. Never do I want to feel that pain. But I mean, sometimes there are just bad things that happen. I don't know if the cruise ship is to blame. I don't think the grandfather's to blame. Sometimes tragedy just happens and it's an accident. I mean, I don't know if I should be sharing the story, but just yesterday we were swimming in our pool and I had my little son right here between my legs and Jordan was right here. Layton.
Oh, God.
And we usually have floaties on them by the pool so they can't have an accident. So we just took him out of the floaty thing. He was right here. And 1 second I turned around and he just went underwater, like 1 second. And I pulled him out and I was like, oh my God, we were both standing right here. I'm like, how did that just happen? And it freaked us out. That freaked us out. It was a 1/10 of a second. But sometimes it just takes 1 second and your whole world has changed, So it's not anyone's fault, but I understand why this parents looking for answers.
Yeah, and I do think this, you worked on a cruise ship. They should understand, they always err on the side of caution, especially 11 stories high on a body of water. You are a floating hotel. Every hotel that's a high rise won't allow you to open up the windows because they err on the side of caution. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, you remember that movie, A Perfect Storm, where I think 3 hurricanes met in the middle of the ocean? They happened to be, Marky Mark's cruise ship went through there. I mean, this is kind of a perfect storm of terrible events. It was a poorly designed children's room mixed with a grandfather that's clearly loving but just had a momentary lapse in judgment, mixed with just the random fact that window was open. It was just a terrible confluence of events, and they all met at this one point. And we can sit here and try and understand, and maybe could the cruise ship have done? Yeah, of course. But a lot of times it's just a freak accident. And
the problem is when you're that mother or father, you want to blame, I think. I think
we all do.
That, right? And to be honest, legally, that was an accident, but that negligence of that window being allowed open did cause that to happen in a children's corner in a pool. That can't happen. So I eventually think this will be the cruise ship's fault. But again, total accident. But someone is negligent in this part, and it's of the cruise ship, I think. But again, that mother you feel.
I know.
She just
heart-wrenching.
She wants to blame someone.
Absolutely heart-wrenching. DBL Nation, chime in, please. Well, police are searching for answers right now in this double homicide of this young couple. They were found dead on the side of a remote highway in British Columbia. But the authorities investigating are also apologizing after they used a cat filter on a press conference video they posted to Facebook. Okay, so yeah, there's the police sergeant. You see her, Tori, with ears and whiskers.
Okay. This is so disrespectful. Look, I know, again, we're talking about accidents, right? They didn't purposely, maliciously do this. But if you start a feed and you don't watch your feed, that means something that you're not doing any control, quality control. You're being negligent again, right? If you see that, you should do that. Also, there is no automatic cat filter, right?
So just own it. Say we made a mistake.
Yeah, and just realize, like, this is going to be funny to a lot of people, but two people who looked like they were in love are brutally murdered. So at this point, own up. Don't say it's automatic. That's not true. We all know that. Just figure it out. Say we're so sorry and get to the details, because now we're worrying about how good you are with details.
Well said. Yeah. Okay, so this next story has a lot of you seen, read, rightfully so. Should parents be separated from their kids if they can't afford to pay for their kids' school lunch? A Pennsylvania school district is coming under fire right now after sending a threatening letter to parents saying that their child could be removed from their home and placed in foster care if the parents didn't settle their kids' lunch debt.
Yeah. And this is what you do with poor people.
Yeah.
Because the way that we allow people to disrespect poor people, whether it's through welfare, whether it's like threatening to take them away, is we act like just because you don't have any money, you don't love your kids as much.
Or you're lazy.
And so,
you're not hardworking.
They always show pictures of, like, a mom with 4 or 5 kids in a waiting room, like, oh, look at her, look at the infestation. She just probably didn't even know their names, just squirting them out.
Yep.
And it's the way that you can take people and take their humanity away, and that way you can abuse them. When you don't think that people love their kids as much as you love your kids because they come from less fortunate situations, it makes it easier to put them in a cage because it's like they're animals. So you can just throw them in a cage. If these are sweet, do you know how many people accidentally cross the border coming from the United States to Canada just drunkenly on a boat? They did cruise past the internet. It's a couple, it's like $1,200 a year, and they give them lunch and they bring them back to the United States. Can you imagine seeing a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl from Vancouver
in a cage? No.
It's the same border.
You're
so what are we
speaking
talking
true.
about here?
You're speaking
We've
true.
given Canadians one side of the border humanity. They're human beings just like us.
Yep.
The people on the other side are disgusting animals. And so if you lose your kid, just go have another one.
Yeah, and what's really this abuse here of power in this situation is there's not even weight to this, right? So
they can't do this, right?
Their threat, oh yeah, they cannot do it. And in fact, the local lawmakers there and the local child fair agency is absolutely outraged.
It's the
it makes
fact they
them
felt
look
comfortable
bad.
enough.
Yes, and it makes them look bad. They're now saying, hey, to the superintendent, you better make this right because we would never do this to a family. This is unlawful. This is inhumane. This is basically a company trying to collect debt. And they're doing it in the most inhumane way possible. And so shame on them. Luckily, this
And without looking, I guarantee you that debt's probably $180.
I was just going to say
it's $20,000.
For each parent?
No, total.
That's what I thought.
But what you said has made me think about this as a microcosm, right? As I was saying earlier, that like instead of thinking, oh man, some of these kids can't have lunch, instead of trying to help them out of the hole, we're like, I'm going to punish you because you can't get out of the hole. And when you do that, you criminalize a whole group of people that can never get out of poverty by fear. And that's not what a government should do with people.
This is why it falls on the superintendent, because there are programs that help, the school districts that I grew up in, we have these programs. And the majority of my classmates were on government-assisted programs where they made sure that they had breakfast, snacks, lunches, even on non-school days. And there was a lot of empathy there and compassion, and it was just normal. Well, they will. Starting in August, this school district will do that. But shame on the superintendent for even allowing it to get to this. There's a clear disconnect and a clear discrimination.
Just the fact that it could get there. Like somebody sat at a table and said, Jeff, what if we just threatened to take their kids?
Can you imagine
somebody
if you got a letter in the mail?
I hadn't thought about that.
No.
If you got a letter in the mail threatening to take away your children.
No, I mean that.
Would you pull your kids out?
It depends on my situation. You know what I mean? If I had that now, yes. But how many people are driving cars that they can't afford, or living in places where they can't afford, or having handbags that they can't afford? Do they get letters from Louis saying we're going to take your kids?
No.
Yeah, from Visa.
Yeah, I know. And they're way more than $22,000 in debt.
Yes.
So let's
and this
be
was
real.
a collective debt. So
Yes.
yeah, well said. Okay, Tom Brady's catching a lot of flack right now for a video he posted to Instagram. It has New England Patriots fans very concerned, as well as some parents. Watch. Tori, you made an eek face.
It's okay. I love Tom Brady, first of all. I went to Michigan, go blue. He was our quarterback. But here's the deal. She's very close to the rocks, and she is going in sideways, and she hesitates. Now, is this his fault? In no way, shape, or form is this his fault. But it's just a video that makes, I think, everyone go like, ooh, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It does.
A little bit.
It makes
You know, it was for me. It was a hesitation because that's kind of when you do hurt yourself, when you kind of hesitate, and then you kind of half go off.
That's why he pulled
That's
her
why he
out.
yanked her. I mean, he was
being
good.
a good dad.
Yeah.
If you watch the whole video, she's waiting for him to get up there.
Yeah, I've
and then
seen
he
that
gets
it's
up
not a
there,
big thing.
and then it looks like if we watch it again, she's about to go and then stops. So he pulls her to make sure she doesn't hit the rocks. He's doing exactly what I would do, that I think any responsible parent would do. Make sure, keep her out of danger, because if she hesitates, she could slip down.
And I agree with you. It's just the visual of her going in sideways by that rock. I don't know if I'd post it.
This is just, I agree with that, but this is just the perfect example of parenting, right? You always think that it's going to go one way and it goes another way.
Yeah.
You know, I worry about that with my Sophie because she is fearless, absolutely fearless.
That's
and
a
I
good
know,
thing.
I know I'm going to always have to manage saying no and yes, but also being able to foster her independence. So I think this
and
is
sometimes life is a little scary.
Yes,
you got to get out there and do it a little bit. And that's the age to do it, you know.
Right.
She's with her dad. So, I mean, I understand on the surface, it's probably one of the best ideas, but hey, we only get one of these lives. Sometimes you got to shake it up a little bit, baby.
We've all been there.
I've walked into doors several times.
Yes.
Fallen
Today?
Twice.
DBL is live. Coming up in just a minute, The Lion King live action remake roars into theaters, and you're never going to guess who teared up. Plus, John Cena is the ultimate nice guy. Tori goes one-on-one with the wrestler turned movie star to find out how he's giving back to America's first responders. And you, the viewer, are our fifth host. Amazon has banned books about gay conversion therapy, but some congressional Republicans want them back online. Your comments about that coming up next. Here's a comment from Elizabeth. So a lot of people chiming in regarding the school and the lunches. Laura Phillips Connett on Facebook. Students from low-income families qualify for free lunch or reduced lunch. I wonder who owes all this money. Is it families that can afford to pay? The district has made an outrageous mistake sending that letter. You're right, Laura. And I do know that they do qualify. I guess that program wasn't put in place yet.
Which seems
which is insane because it should have been put in place when they had one child, only one child needing a hot lunch.
And it's also one of the poorest areas in Pennsylvania, so that should have been a major priority.
Yep, and Elizabeth on YouTube says, if I worked at a school who denied a child food because they couldn't pay, I would gladly pay for them, no matter how low the situation kept up. I mean, how much can that set you back?
And Margot wrote in, she was hungry when she was a poor kid, always hungry. It affected my learning and my self-esteem.
See, that's the biggest thing.
The school showed no empathy.
So here's the thing. The reason why these programs are so important and the reason why you see this universally taken care of in other progressive countries is because it's not only the fact that the child is hungry, which is, horrific and torturous, but it affects their ability to learn. When you are so preoccupied with when can you get your next meal? I mean, the term hangry is for a reason. People get angry, their fuses are short, they can't focus. So it's much bigger than just having a hungry stomach. It's about their whole ability to absorb what they're learning.
And also you think, well, with all the things that these kids have to deal with, just the stigma.
I know.
Kids find out who's on lunch assistance and kids
it wasn't a problem in my school.
Kids are horrendous to
Not
each
at my
other.
school.
Yeah,
it was
they
not,
are, though. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, I'm happy to hear that, but most
I think because it
schools-
was the norm at my school, it was just seen as like, oh, this is it.
Yeah.
But you're right. I'm sure if there's a select group of kids, you do feel like you're being.
And like I said, just poor people get it every which way.
Yeah.
Social stigma.
Welcome back to DBL. It is time for Fifth Host when we talk about what you're talking about. Well, some Republicans want Amazon to lift its ban on selling gay conversion therapy books. Last month, the company announced it would no longer carry the books after an online petition with 80,000 signatures surfaced, calling these books dangerous and destructive. Now a group of conservatives is lobbying to lift the ban because the books are being censored and do not violate Amazon's policy. So DBL Nation, should Amazon sell gay conversion therapy books?
All right, let's get right to it. Keniza from Facebook says, if the U.S. promotes free speech, I don't like the idea of Amazon censoring books that some customers want to buy. Here we are with the free speech concept again. Look, guys, just because you're allowed to say anything doesn't mean that another company, especially a private company, has to sell those things. You could sell a diet book saying, hey, it's healthy to eat glass. You can do it. You can do it. They don't have to sell it, though.
Yeah.
Very good point. Howie from Facebook, no one should be pressured by the government to sell or ban anything. Again, I'm going to reiterate what Al said. The First Amendment is deliberately chosen for the government not to come in and say, you can't say that. Amazon is their own company. However, there is a theory that this freedom of speech should echo into the biggest conglomerates in America, and Amazon, being one of them, should take on the spirit of that law. Here's the issue with that. Some speech isn't protected, and I'm someone who loves no censorship. But when something is made to just be an imminent act of causing dangerous and violence to oneself, that's something that you can't do, like saying fire in a movie theater, right? So when you look at the studies, this has been debunked as something terribly dangerous, causing suicides, and terrible conversion therapy doesn't work. And just say the Solicitor General said it cannot work. So this might be as an act that you're trying to literally cause danger. So I can see their point of view.
Ken from Facebook says, of course they should sell the books. That's what they are in business for, supply and demand. Ken, let me just tell you a quick story. When I was in Ethiopia, I saw these priests beating this young girl, and they were beating the devil out of her. And I was asking the people next to me, I'm like, what is she saying? And they were saying, she's saying, I'm not the devil, I'm fine. But the priests believed in their head that they could beat the devil out of her for whatever reason. These books, to me, are very similar to what I witnessed in Ethiopia. Yes. Every gay friend that I have didn't convert to being gay. They were born that way. So if you think it's a conversion thing, I think the problem lies there, not in the books.
Well said, Jeff Schroeder. Alex from Facebook says these books should not be sold. Put them in the garbage along with the cure for autism books. This is way worse than fake news. Yes, you're perpetuating myths. And as Tori said, medical professionals and medical journals, they've all debunked gay conversion therapy. They've all said that it is not only just harmful, it can lead to death. So this to me is an act. This isn't freedom of speech. This is an act with disastrous results.
It's putting like a manual, I said, like putting a bond manual on Amazon. Like you can't do that, right? Because that's going to incite immediate and imminent threat. I think the same can be called for this one.
Agreed.
I completely agree.
Well said, though, and thank you everybody for writing in. We do appreciate all your thoughts.
That
was great.
Yep. Queen just made music history yet again. Raquel Villanueva has the news at the moment.
That's right, Sam. In 1975, Queen made a music video for Bohemian Rhapsody for less than $5,000. Now it's the oldest music video to ever pass 1 billion views on YouTube. Take a look. I'd be singing that all day now. Now, the staying power of Bohemian Rhapsody is undeniable. It's currently the most streamed song of the 20th century, and it was one of the top search songs last year on Google.
Considering no one wanted to play that song. Nobody wanted to see the light of day.
Opera. Everyone's like, who's going to play that? Now it's the most.
It's amazing.
It's incredible.
Yep. Keep after your dreams. Trust in yourself. Right. How dare you?
Very inspirational.
You think our audience is mostly 8th graders?
There's some. There are some teenagers that watch our show.
Believe in yourselves, kids.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much. I'm literally blushing. Coming up on DBL, country star Keith Urban is getting personal. We'll tell you how his lyrics are making wife Nicole Kidman blush. And we find out for ourselves why John Cena really is the nicest guy in Hollywood. You don't want to miss Tori's interview coming up next.
Hey DBL Nation, it's Raquel here with the DBL Digital team. It's time for Fast Blast, where we give you all the news you need to know in under 2 minutes. So let's get that timer up and get started. So travelers, listen up. At least 19 people have died in Costa Rica after drinking tainted alcohol. 30,000 bottles were seized and suspected of containing tainted methanol. Now, small amounts are common in fermented drinks, but large amounts could be deadly. Now let's switch gears here. What if I told you there were some aliens here on Earth? Cue that creepy music.
Greetings.
An Oklahoma animal shelter doesn't want you to storm Area 51, but flock to their doors and adopt these out-of-this-world creatures. Now, as a proud owner of a shelter pet, I can tell you the love you'll have for them will soar across the galaxies. Now, if Disney is the most magical place on Earth, Mickey is getting greedy and ready to take over the skies. Get ready for Disney Airlines in 2021. I'm talking flight attendants in costume and Musketeer-shaped food. This will either be the coolest or scariest flight you'll ever take. And finally, one family's fishing trip took a turn into Jaws territory this weekend. Doug Nelson and his son caught what felt like a good-sized fish. Well, a great white shark agreed, snapping up that fish faster than you can yell, "Viral video!" And that's Fast Blast for today. See ya.
Give me a line. We do what I say, and we do it now.
He said no! We're a go for extraction.
No, wait, what?
Ooh. Welcome back to DBL. That was a clip from the new movie Playing with Fire starring John Cena. The movie isn't out until this fall, but a nationwide contest for first responders to meet John is in full swing, and I know we have some first responders watching. Well, I sat down with a former WWE superstar to learn more, and don't worry, I got the scoop on John's new role in Fast and Furious 9 2. That's today's Chatting with the Stars. John Cena, welcome to Daily Blast Live. First off, congratulations on making your official Fast and Furious debut. But I must ask, the photo they put on Instagram, Vin Diesel is in front of you flexing. So do you think he's doing that on purpose to outshine your magnificent biceps?
I think you're trying to start a little bit of controversy where there is none.
Well, speaking of new movies, the Playing with Fire trailer finally dropped. It looks hilarious and adorable. So I want you to tell me about this contest you're doing for the movie, because a lot of first responders watch DBL, including Denver Fire and a bunch of others. So let us know about this.
Yes, so hilarious, adorable, all that stuff. Playing with Fire is a wonderful ride for the whole family. Kids will laugh, adults will laugh, and the environment is created around these elite first responders called smoke jumpers.
What kind of firefighter are you?
The Playing with Fire hooked up with Good Housekeeping, and we've come up with this hometown heroes concept, where if you are a first responder, and that's fire, medical, police, whatever, or if you know a first responder, because a lot of times they're extremely brave, but also extremely humble.
Humble, yes.
Go to goodhousekeeping.com right now and tell their story or tell your story.
Amen. We bow down here to any first responder, and I'm so glad you're giving them the spotlight they so well deserve. Besides being a WWE star, you might be known for how nice you are. You've done more Make-A-Wishes than any other human being. Talk to me about that.
Thank you very much for bringing up the Make-A-Wish. It's something that provides me with constant joy and constant fulfillment. It's an indescribable feeling to see the happiness and the joy on the faces of the children and the families that I meet.
Wow.
So if you're out there and you're listening, take the extra step, take the extra second, and try to choose kindness.
Well, thank you. You are such a gentleman. What a pleasure. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks again.
Thanks. Good guy. Coming up on DBL, a major American city is killing two birds with one stone. We'll tell you all about the controversial plan to control the geese population. And many are saying this Fresh Prince of Bel-Air parody video went too far. But
Okay, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on? First and foremost, great interview, Tori, with John Cena.
Can't see me.
Great interview. Who's your favorite wrestler of all time? Go.
Mine?
Yeah.
I like the Undertaker.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Who's the Undertaker's brother?
The minister. The rabbi.
Kane. No, the brother is Kane. Paul Bearer was his manager. True. Joel, you're wrong. Sorry. What's going on, DBL Nation? Brandon here with your digital break. You just saw that interview with Tori and John Cena, but I want to get to your comments on what we've been talking about all day. You all have been writing in, and we appreciate you all greatly for writing in. So let's go to Andrea Culpepper says, Waters sad. What happened? But Al is right. Okay. Laura Phillips Cannett from Facebook says, students from low-income families qualify for free lunch or reduced lunch. I wonder who owes all this money. Is it the families that can afford to pay? The district has made an outrageous mistake sending that letter. We're talking about the district that sent out the letter saying that they will, like, threatening foster care to put these families' kids into foster care if they don't pay that debt. My only thing with this is I was reading up on this and I was listening to NPR this morning, and the guy who was pretty much in charge of putting this in place was saying that the school has been, because they're over budget or they need more money, more funding, they're saying that they've had to cut employees, they've had to cut curriculum to not only save money but to also add to the budget. I'm not saying that what he's doing is right, but he did say that since they sent that letter, a lot of that money has been recouped. But then I don't agree with the way that it was done. So I guess I sound like a hypocrite right now. Lisa Shelley, off of Facebook says she's 6. I thought she was 11, but yeah, if I were him, I wouldn't have posted it. It looks horrible from the view it was filmed. Lisa Shelley also wrote in, yeah, Al, in high school, if you ate in the cafeteria, you were looked down on. Only cool people either bought stuff from the canteen outdoors or the coolest of cool went off campus to have lunch. I was a cool person. They just never let me off campus for lunch because I kept getting in trouble. But I know what you mean when you write that, Shelly. Growing up, my mom, we would have packed lunches. She would pack us lunches and stuff. And I used to always think about the kids who had Gushers and fruit by the foot. Used to think they were the coolest ones in the world. But then again, there would be put some sort of shame on the kids who were on reduced lunch or free lunch. So I know exactly what you mean. And I just read a comment earlier. Here we go. Michael Loveland on YouTube. I love this comment. What he says is, kid is hungry, kid does not get lunch. Kid is bullied for being poor, kid shoots up school, clear thinking, school board. And I agree, like that is a way of shaming. The kids who can't afford regular price lunch, they would get shamed. So I see what you're saying. Thank you for writing in, DBL Nation. We got more of the show coming up next.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. What do we have, Tori?
We have really good ones. Mr. Vato 53 says on YouTube, the Tom Brady video is a nothing burger. Agreed?
Yeah.
I think it is a bit. It is a bit. Luke says, I was worried unathletic Tom Brady wouldn't be able to jump out that far.
I bet he was nervous though.
Burn. Yeah, I know.
When he felt his daughter behind him, I bet he got nervous.
Oh yeah.
But
there's no one in the water you want more than. Yeah.
That's why you got to pull her out.
But we act like we were not raised by parents of the 70s. You remember, like, the cars didn't even have seatbelts.
I know.
We all made it.
It's true. Here's what's coming up next on Daily Blast Live.
The Lion King dominates the box office and our hearts. Who's the tough who was reduced to tears by the movie? Then, Kiss and Tell with Keith Urban. You won't believe what he calls wife Nicole Kidman in the bedroom. And a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air spoof misses the mark.
Hi, DBL Nation. I have kind of a disappointing update to what I consider the story of the year. I don't know if you remember in a few fast blasts last week, there were meth gators, allegedly. Well, it turns out the police in Tennessee that posted that were just joking around. There aren't wild meth gators running around, which in reality would make for a really crazy, scary movie. But it turns out it wasn't true, and they didn't think that people would take it seriously. But here's a heads up. If you put it on the internet, people are going to believe you. I did. I still want it to be true. Deep down, I don't want them to do drugs. I want them to stay clean. But I really want some gators to have a good time. Have a gator party. So, DBL Nation, are you disappointed on the update? Or are you pretty relieved to know that there aren't any meth gators running around in the South? I'm going to choose the latter. Anyway, I will talk to you next break. Bye.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Because everyone's talking about this.
Always live, always real, always unpredictable.
You are totally off base here.
Log on and join our live conversation.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I do agree with you.
DBL starts right now.
Welcome to DBL. We are live. Let's get started. The Lion King is a big hit at the box office. It made $185 million during its opening weekend, despite very bad reviews. The audience loved it, giving the movie an 89% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Aquaman actor Jason Momoa is on the same page. He posted these photos on Instagram with his family, saying the movie made him cry numerous times. Okay, so first of all, you must be relieved knowing that it's going to be a great movie. Who cares what the critics say? The audience loves it. But talking about movies that made us cry, what was the last movie that made you cry?
I cry all the time now. I don't know the last one, but when I was asked this question this morning, yeah, I cry at commercials now. It's crazy. But the one movie that always pops up other than Rudy is Armageddon. Mm-hmm. When she, at the end, when she's like, Daddy, don't go, and he takes Ben Affleck out and gives him the patch. Like, if you don't cry, you should not be alive. Like, you have no soul.
Tori, when was the last time you cried during a movie?
I had a hard time with this too, and I think it was really, I sobbed in Inside Out, that movie about the emotions. That was an animation.
Oh, yes.
And Amy Poehler played
really
Joy,
good.
and it was all about like how children deal with emotions. I was a mess.
I could see that.
I need to see that movie.
You would love it.
I know I
heard good things. A lot of parents that I know that went to go see that movie was like it was really insightful about emotions.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Sammy?
This weekend I saw Moana for the first time. And actually, we only got half of it halfway through it. But the part, spoiler alert, but the part when she loses her grandmother and then the grandmother turns into a stingray. Oh, I sobbed openly. I could not believe.
You didn't finish it?
No, because Sophie, like.
The grandmother might have a little appearance in the end.
Yay! Oh. Okay, so what about you?
For me, it's going to sound weird, but Homecoming.
Yes.
Well, Beyonce's Homecoming.
Unbelievable.
I watched it when I was
chilling.
When I was in Boise, and I was like, oh, I got a whole afternoon. Let me watch it because I know it's like 2.5 hours. And like an hour in, like I was sitting on the couch, it was an Airbnb with like tears running down my face. And for me, it's a strange thing to say, but when I saw the depth and the amount of work that she put into that, like no human being should ever put. She put herself in some physically dangerous situations for my entertainment. I almost felt like I'm like Wayne's World, like I'm not worthy. And so it was really cool.
There's a meme going around that's going viral that says, if you think you shouldn't have to work that hard, remember that Beyonce put in 8 months of work for a 2-hour performance.
Yeah, she's unbelievable.
It looked like it, though.
Yeah,
it did.
I know.
It did.
Okay, so Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban, many of you say are couples goals. Did you know Keith writes about his wife in some of his songs? Listen to the lyrics of Gemini. Okay, so he said she's a maniac in the bed, a brainiac in the head. Now Nicole is responding in an interview. She says, quote, I don't censor his art, but it is a little embarrassing. It's better than saying, God, I'm so bored, make an effort, Nicole. Don't just lay there.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I think it's good. It's interesting how I think that our views of like monogamy get shaped because it seems boring. Honestly, like when you looked at Sex and the City, they kind of put Charlotte as like she's the relationship one. First of all, I can't believe I'm using this. But Samantha was always seen as a fun one. She's always out drinking martinis and hitting on the waiter, and it makes it seem fun and it makes monogamy seem boring. But I think it's cool for somebody to like stand up like, no, me and my wife still get after it.
Yes.
I think that's a beautiful thing.
But I think a lot of people feel that way, but they don't want to share it with the whole world. Do you know what I mean? Like I get pretty, you know, if I'm out with my girlfriends, maybe I'll talk a little bit about it, but I like to keep those details to myself.
I'm with you. You know, I mean, I'm kind of old school in that sense too. I mean, we do share a lot of our life, me and my wife. I mean, we met on TV, so we feel like it's open already. So we're a little bit too open, I think. But some things you just want to keep for your family, especially for your wife, you know?
What about you, Tori?
I like to share.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't like to share. I just think it's a really, like, kind of like what Al said. Like, my husband and I don't have kids right now, and we're doing really well, and we've been working really hard.
You have been.
And it's been really sexy and fun, and I think that it's nice to show that off for a monogamous couple that's been together for 6 years. Do I cross the line? 1,000,000%. But I think it's...
I kind of, and Tori, I'll just say this in wrapping up, I like that because I think we always have a tendency to share the bad things. It's just like, oh my God, we haven't slept together in 2 months. I don't know what's going on. We're seeing, but you never go, hey, the last 2 months.
Things are doing great, yeah.
Man, Gatorade right afterward. You know, like, you never talk about the good times, and like, it's like, you want to put that energy in the universe
absolutely.
too. Like, there's a happy couple here. We're good over here.
Too.
Yep, exactly.
Like
all right. Chime in, DBL Nation. Well, Macy's is facing a lot of backlash right now for these plates. Take a look at them. They have circles on them with labels. Take a closer look. This one says skinny jeans on the inside circle, then favorite jeans, then mom jeans. People on Twitter are calling out the department store saying these plates promote eating disorders. Macy's has removed the plates, admitting that they missed the mark on the product. What do you think, Tori?
Yeah, people are going to think that we're like heart-trodden and broken-hearted and liberal snowflakes because we don't like it. I'm not like crying. I don't think girls should have to see that. That's it.
They missed the mark.
It missed the mark. Do I think this is a huge deal? No. Do I think girls that are going to have to walk past that, even if they don't buy it, seeing that as the subjective point of where we should be as how skinny you are, it's just reiterating that subliminally over and over and over again. I mean, you probably won't even notice that you noticed it, but you noticed it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think you're absolutely right.
But I'm not like, oh my God.
Do you think this should only apply to women? Like,
no.
let's say there was a... Let's say there was a beer mug, like a beer stein, and there was a line that said 6-pack, and then the next one was keg, and then the next one was walk-in freezer, whatever. And like talking about a man's midsection. Would that be as bad in your eyes?
Yeah, because young men, I'm thinking about the young men and women out there, the teenagers who do suffer from eating disorders because of all the marketing out there that subliminally affects the way that they view their own bodies.
Right.
But you're predisposed to it too.
You are.
So,
but I do think that men probably haven't had the same historically, contextually.
It is
disproportionate. Right.
It is disproportionate.
Women have often been told like skinny, skinny, skinny. So even if it's just a joke and it's not a big deal, you're just getting it through your head. Do you want your daughter to see that as you pass every time? No.
But it's about portion control. You know what I mean? They're playing like how is this different than putting a picture on your fridge so you don't, like, to remind yourself, hey, I really don't need that cake, or I want to look like this. So,
which I have done, by the way.
So, I mean, listen, if you don't like this, don't get that plate. But to, like, make a big panic about it and, like, make them take it out of stores, I feel like we're getting way too far.
I understand what you're saying, and I'm not making a panic about it. But as a little girl, yeah, let's say I don't have to buy it, but I walk past it. I see it in the store. It's the cool thing on the shelf. So I'm going to automatically, subliminally pick that up as something as a brand that's trendy.
If that's triggering for you, you in life, there's going to, no, I'm not saying you, but I'm saying if that's triggering for you, there's a lot of other obstacles that life challenges you with. A plate that says mom jeans isn't really one of my life
but
obstacles.
a million messages like that over and over and over again subliminally can change.
But where are we going to be in 20 years if this is offensive?
Hopefully less subliminally telling young girls to lose weight, hopefully, and a little bit more articulate about it in the marketing.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, you know, you just get, I don't know. No, I know the TV answer. I could tell you, oh, this is terrible. Tell them to take it off.
Yeah.
I'm not going to raise my kids that way. I'm going to tell them life's tough. You're going to see these kids are going to be mean. Parents are going to be mean. When you grow up, people at your job are going to be mean. When you're on the bus, people are going to be mean. You got to get tough. That's what I'm going to tell my kids. But everyone to each their own.
No,
Yeah.
I think that was a well-balanced conversation. I see both sides. Amanda Knox is back in the headlines today. The 32-year-old is asking for donations for her space-themed wedding. You got to see the website. Here's the homepage. The space theme is very clear. And then take a look at the page where they're asking for donations to have the best party ever. This really irks me.
Can I be honest? I have always stood up for Amanda Knox, and I have a personal take on that, and I won't go into it, but I've always thought she was innocent. Stuff like this makes me think you crazy.
Yeah.
Makes me think you're
How
more
entitled
crazy,
are
and that
you?
you might have done something. This is insane.
Entitled are
How
you?
is this insane?
Why are you using your
Would you
fame to
be
pay for
friends?
Because she can.
But would
That's
you?
so stupid.
Cool. She totally can.
Right.
It doesn't mean that I can't judge her character. If one of my friends, first of all, none of my friends would do this. You wouldn't do this. You wouldn't do this.
No
you wouldn't do this
way.
because you value hard work. You value money. You value your friends' hard work, and you're not going to sit there and beg them for money for something so gratuitous as a freaking party. This is
I
an
would say this,
embarrassment.
and Sam, I know you're especially close to this case. I'm not. I'm just looking at this as an outsider. Like, I almost know very little about this. But what if her response to you was, hey, I made CNN and City Confidential and everybody that made a documentary about me, they sold a lot of ads running my story. I want some of the.
But it was a based on the back of a tragedy of someone's murder.
First of all, that's
but
your
people
situation.
still made money off of that.
I understand that.
Cool. You don't take my money.
Well, she's asking for it. She's not taking it. And
I
people
have a
will give
problem
it.
with people asking for handouts. I really do. For something so frivolous as a party.
And she said she lost the money by going to Italy and trying to like speak out. Well, that was, I mean, that's her
your
choice
fault.
to go to Italy and come
And
back.
it's her choice to ask her fans.
I know.
Okay, of course, but I can still judge it.
Yeah,
and I
you can
judge
definitely
that.
judge it.
And I try not to be judgmental. I judge this.
I feel you.
I judge it hard.
How about his shirt? Did you judge
I
that?
judge it hard too.
Is it bad? I like this shirt.
It's kind of Versace-esque.
Yes,
I like
yes,
it.
yes.
I couldn't pull it off.
Yeah, you
I think
could.
our own
You
Jeray could pull that off.
You could pull off.
Let's pull
put
it
up the
back up.
picture.
Jeray could pull that off.
Let's see it.
I think maybe, yeah. No,
Not that
Not
one.
that one. The glasses are a little.
There we go.
There it is.
Al, you could rock that with the white pants.
White pants is where I
That's a
draw the
bit
line.
much. That's a bit
Yeah. White pants, you better be getting out of a white Testarossa. That's the only way that works.
So true, so true. Well, we do have to give a big DBL shout out to Prince George. Today is his 6th birthday, and the palace shared these adorable pictures of the future king. They were taken by his mom, Duchess Kate. So why are so many people saying this is against the grain, Tori?
So, 2 things. One, if you put the picture back up, he's smiling. And if you look at kings and queens in portraits before, and including Queen Elizabeth, she rarely smiles. It's Kate, his mother, that took the picture too, not a royal photographer. She is an amateur photographer. She's held summits and gone to school for it. So it's just kind of a fun, more relaxed, candid photo.
And now the royal photographer's out of work.
Yeah.
This is crazy. I mean, he's not getting a painting in the 1800s. It's a photo that his mom took.
I know.
No, but it's the official royal
But
photo.
it's
That's the difference.
Why do I know so much about the royals? I don't care about the royals.
Jeff, maybe you do. Maybe it's always been sitting there. Maybe you just need a DBL to bring it out of you.
I think you care.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't. It is a beautiful day in the neighborhood because we're getting our first look at the new Mr. Rogers movie. Brandon London has those details coming in hot.
That's right, Sam. And the theme song is stuck in my head, so I want everyone to sing along with me right now. Here we go. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Will you be my neighbor? All right. Round of applause for yourself. You've been a great audience. All right, so in the trailer, we see a cynical journalist assigned to follow the optimistic Mr. Rogers for a magazine article and find out if he's really the guy everyone loves on TV. Take a look.
Profiling Mr. Rogers.
Lloyd, please don't ruin my childhood.
This piece will be for an issue about heroes. Do you consider yourself a hero?
We are trying to get the world positive ways of dealing with their feelings.
Yeah, that's right. And you can catch A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood in theaters November 22nd. Back to you guys.
I love that, Brandon.
That was well done. Except for the song you kind of got wrong, but I like the
And also the walking in with the high five. I didn't, Mr. Rogers in a locker room. Like that.
Well done, Brandon.
That was awesome, Brandon.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
That was good. Coming up on DBL, a boys' lemonade stand does big business with the help of a guardian angel. Don't miss this emotional heartthreads. But first, a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air parody gets.
Tell me.
I was trying to look mad.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hey, y'all.
Hello.
Do you want to know 3 cool facts about Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Do you guys? Yes, we do. Number 1, he would feed the fish and say, I'm feeding the fish, because a blind girl wrote in and was worried about the fish. So he was letting anyone who was blind know that he was actually feeding the fish.
Oh, wow.
And then at one time I said this, and you said to me, if they're blind, how do they know there's a fish? But he talked about the fish.
Okay.
So that's one of those things.
Bad. Now you
There's
said it
2
like
more?
I'm attacking blind children. Thanks, Tori. That's the image I want out there.
Great. At Al Jackson.
Yes. No stone left up there. Let's get to the bottom of these.
Let's figure
Lying
this out.
kids.
Oh, Lord. The other thing is he was a minister, Mr. Rogers, and he was very good with children. He felt children's cartoons were too fast, so he wanted to slow everything down. That's the reason I didn't happen to like Mr. Rogers. I found him as a kid just like super slow. But one episode, he just put a tortoise down, and they just watched the tortoise for the half hour.
Wow.
But he wanted that concept to be like, everybody slow down. And then third, his very first episode was about I'm trying to think of something I would say that's a lie that would wake him up. His very first episode, he discussed in the magical land. What's that land?
When did you take the time to get these interesting facts?
I watched the documentary. It's beautiful.
Oh,
I
okay.
cried. What's the magical land?
Magical land.
You know, we're in the wall where there's a
We
magical
got it.
land.
We're just trying to get to the end.
Anywho, they dealt with the king building a wall, and they were like,
He's
build the
wrapping
wall,
it up
build the
already.
wall. And they're like, don't build walls. That's not nice.
I feel like I just woke up and I'm ready to charge
The
life.
AC just came on.
Welcome back to DBL. Controversy comes in all shapes and sizes, like killing geese in parks for meat, or a rap video by a real estate agency gone horribly wrong. Yes, these are 2 real stories making national headlines, and both are getting people heated, and they take place right here in Denver. So let's start with the geese. These birds are causing quite the ruckus in our Denver backyard. 1,600 geese were just rounded up and then turned into meat for food banks. It's all an effort to control the goose population. Denver officials say parks are overwhelmed with geese, you know what. But a lot of people think that the city's plan smells foul. So should the geese have been spared, or did the city do the right thing? Head to dblvote.com to weigh in.
I think they did the right thing. This is just me thinking logically about this. I mean, they are overpopulated. There's way too many. They're ruining properties, golf courses, etc. And to take them in a humane way and then give them back to food banks or, to homeless people, whoever needs that meat, I think is a win-win on both sides.
I don't think there's any humane way to round up geese and kill them.
It's better than poisoning them. That's the alternative that people take into their own hands.
It's still a horrific way to die, whether you're being rounded up and killed and bashed over the head, no matter how they did it, or if you poison them. Yes, Denver was resourceful because they're feeding the homeless. And I know that there's a lot of programs in other cities and other countries that also are overrun by geese, where they find cruelty-free ways to feed the homeless, and they find other ways to manage the geese population without having to round them up and kill them.
My question to you is, as somebody that wants to learn more about, like, obviously animal advocacy, what's considered a cruelty-free way to address like overpopulation of an area?
Well, it depends on the animal, but one way that Canada deals with, and I believe we've done this too here in Denver, the Canadian geese population, is they rub corn oil on their eggs so they don't hatch. So you get ahead of the problem, so then you don't have to round them up. So that's one way.
Okay.
So there are systems that have worked in other progressive cities that have done this in a more humane way.
Right, but that's getting the problem before it becomes a problem. Now, you can't do that when the population's out of control. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I hear you.
I'm always going to stick up for the geese, always. I love seeing them at the park. It's like my favorite thing. I'm really sad about this. I love seeing them. Should the geese have been saved? 71% of you say no. I can be the odd man out on this one. That is fine.
Odd person say.
Odd person out. Thank you.
Oh.
Yep, gender neutral language here.
The geese have been saved.
Denver is in the middle of another contentious debate. It's over a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air parody video by members of a real estate team. In the video, yikes. They took down the video and the agency cut ties with the team. They also lost at least one client from the backlash.
That
Tori.
is, I'm sorry, that's just so embarrassing. First of all, it's embarrassing. It's a bad rap. Denver instead of Bel Air. And then just to think about it, Denver is really being gentrified. It's culturally appropriating. It's just wrong. I don't know if they should have been let go, but I think that was really embarrassing.
The thing. They've never lived in low-income housing and never, they just like, hey, every time they've shown up to anywhere in their life, it's always been awesome. It's always been great. Look at those people. You think they've struggled through life at all? So what do they know? They just go, hey, this is great.
When you work in real estate?
I don't think that that's their responsibility. It'd be nice, but their job is to sell homes and make a profit. And it's clear that they're doing that.
All right, well, chime
and also
in,
make
DBL Nation.
horrendous rap videos and cram the word Denver into that is intellectually lazy and horrendous.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Wow.
We will be right back.
Hey dbltake Nation, welcome back to Beauty Blast. I wanted to take a moment and say, I know you guys, we miss each other so much. Let's bring it on and give a hug real quick. I miss you guys so much, but I want to make sure that you guys saw my beautiful model that I'm working with today, Miss Lex. What's up, Queen? Thank you for joining us. And today, we're going to be talking about some more red light beauty tips. Now, for today, I want to show you guys how you can just use one good old lipstick to create a whole look. And yes, honey, you're going to slay the whole summer away with this look, okay? So let's get it popping right away, guys. I'm gonna take a nice little coral lipstick that you might not be using all that often. Now, this guy's from Yves Saint Laurent, but good old Maybelline or CoverGirl works just fine too. Now, I like this guy because it is more on the matte side, and I'm actually going to use it as her eyeshadow, her blush, and her lip today. You ready, girl?
I'm ready.
Let's do this, honey. So just to start off, you're gonna need a single eyeshadow brush, there we go, and a single lipstick, preferably more on the matte side. Shine's just gonna look real glossy, unless you're into that kind of look. Cool. Now, we're gonna take a little bit on our little eyeshadow brush here, And I'm gonna go ahead and have you close, thanks Lex, and take a little bit from the middle of the eye outwards. And on this one, I'm gonna just blend it out, and I'll have you guys take a closer look on the next one here on the other eye. Now with this, I like to use more of a dome-shaped brush because this is going to give a little bit more control with where you're placing this cream at, and it's also going to make sure that it looks very soft and even as well. Go ahead and turn that way for me. Queen, y'all check that eye out, girl. That's a whole look in itself, okay? Now I'm gonna have you guys look a little bit closer for this side. Ready, here we go. Taking a little bit. Notice I only tap.
Welcome back to DBL. Today's Heart Threads is all about honoring the memory of a loved one. Watch how a young boy's lemonade stand paid tribute to the hero in his life.
After this little boy lost his dad, his community made sure his lemonade stand was a smashing success. 6-year-old Brady and his dad Brandon planned to open a lemonade stand together. But Brandon lost his battle with cancer before they could. The day after his dad passed away, Brady opened for business. A police officer stopped and learned Brady's story. The officer radioed the other police, who told the firefighters, and soon Brady's lemonade stand was booming. A simple act of kindness from their neighbors meant the world to a mom and son.
What a great community. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
We live?
All right, guys, real quick, Singing Mary and anyone else, Shirley DeBostaff, SDDT. If you saw Big Little Lies finale, I saw it. Travis, did you see it? I just want to know what you thought. I liked it. I thought the acting was excellent. The directing was excellent. They left room for an opening of the next season. I just thought, and I'm going to be honest, a little slow. And maybe that's the point. Maybe it's a slow burn. But the first season had a lot happening, and this was a lot of people being like, remember that night, remember that night, remember that night. And maybe that's okay, but did you wish it was a little bit faster? Do you wish you were a little bit taller?
I wish it was a baller. The Fresh Prince of Denver. Hey-oh. Yeah. Hey guys, we got our coffee cup in our hand.
It was offensive for how bad that rhyme was.
We're hip. We're cool. We speak in slang. Fresh Prince of Denver.
And then the scooters, it was bad.
I get what they were trying to do, but they just missed the mark on that. And I mean, I agree with Al, on this one. This is, I feel like, this isn't something we should get overly upset about. It was corny. It just is what it is. You saw it. I personally don't think they should have lost their job because of it. I think, if I'm the head real estate guy, the CEO of the company, I call them in and I'm like, what the hell are y'all doing? Who approved this? Who shot this? And this shouldn't have been on his budget. But yeah, I mean, at some point, we just got to look at some stuff and just look at it and just be like, that's stupid, that's dumb, let's move on. We can't get outraged over everything. So we got 90 seconds left. Another thing happening here in Denver, we were talking about the geese, how we're overpopulated with geese, so they're killing the geese and feeding it to the homeless people. Joyce Lavelle Troutman on Facebook writes in, oops, Denver used the geese. Okay. There was another one. Oh yeah, Michael Loveland writes in, the geese were literally filling a lake with poop and refused to leave. They stopped migrating for some reason. I would like to know why. Mike Loveland, what's up, man? Thanks for writing in. I don't think we can really say the geese will refuse to leave. This is just their instinct to be in that area, But I think it's a great idea. I was saying earlier how in Charlottesville, Virginia, we're overpopulated with deer, so they extend the hunting season. So I like to see, like, maybe if you're killing a deer within the extended hunting season, that venison meat goes to homeless people as well. I like the way we're putting it in full cycle, but we've got the end of the show coming up now. Thank you all for watching DBL. We've got one more hour coming up. Check it out.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. What do we have, Tori?
Well, Bob Tavares says, I like geese. Save them.
Yay, me too.
Thank you, Bob.
They're the highlight of my day when I go to the park.
Oh,
I love the geese.
I think that's sad.
Sorry, I love them.
That's the highlight, though?
One of the highlights is my daughter and I
make top 10.
saying, when I see a mama geese with her baby geeses and baby goslings in tow, it's the most heartwarming thing to me.
How often do you see that?
Quite often. Well, who knows if they're there anymore.
They are. I went yesterday and they're all over.
In Wash Park?
Sloan Lake. And also, Mad Blogger says, I'm starting to think that Jeff is the only sane person on this panel.
I've been thinking.
I like that guy.
Bye, guys.
Tomorrow marks 50 years since the lunar landing. On July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were the first humans to step foot on the moon. Most people can remember exactly where they were watching it all unfold. And today, we're looking into the future by talking to Carl Jones. Thank you for joining us today, Carl.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Now, we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, but what can we expect from NASA moving forward?
From NASA, the biggest things that are on the horizon are the launch of Americans from U.S. soil for the first time since the shuttle's been retired via the Boeing CST-100. And then after that, we set our sights on going to Mars, but the first stop is going to be Moon. And so we have the Artemis program and the Gateway program that are going to basically set the way for that for us to go to Mars later on. So the Gateway program is basically going to be a launch point, the International Space Station, but not as big. And it's going to be basically a kind of a launch point. So we'll launch spacecraft from here like we normally do. They'll go to the Gateway, and then they'll take lunar landers from the Gateway down to the surface of the moon. And then later on, once we actually start exploring Mars, it'll be basically kind of an intergalactic, gas station of sorts as a stopping point before they go further. 50 years ago, our biggest goal was to just get to the moon and then bring them back home safely. So now we're trying to actually go to the moon and establish a sustainable environment there, get a base going, and then test a lot of technology that we currently don't understand in order to go to Mars or to go to Mars for a long duration space travel. Right now, we don't understand how the human body reacts or how we could, how astronauts would do in a long duration mission. So a lot of those things we can use on the moon first before we start doing that and start sending humans that far away.
If they had volunteers to go to Mars, would you be one of them?
Yes, absolutely. I've always wanted to go to Mars. Honestly, that has been a lifelong dream of mine. I watch all kinds of movies about it, obviously.
It's Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Because everyone's talking about this.
Always live, always real, always unpredictable.
You are totally off base here.
Log on and join our live conversation.
You think this hair just naturally stays like this?
Hey, this is John Cena, and Daily Blast Live starts right now.
3, 2. Wow, thank you, John Cena. We have an interview with him coming up in just a minute. Welcome to Daily Blast Live. It's Monday, July 22nd. I'm here with Erica, Tori, and Al. I'm Jeff. Let's get to it, guys. The heartbroken family of this toddler who died after falling out of a window on a cruise ship is speaking out. They say don't blame her grandfather who set her down by the open window, but they are searching for answers. Let's watch.
We have a lot of questions, primarily. Why is there an open window in the kids' play area 11 stories off the ground? The first 30 seconds of the day, I don't remember what happened. And then it comes back and I relive what happened.
I think any parent outliving their children is a tragedy, and this is especially a tragedy. I could sympathize with her, but I have no idea what she's going through. I can't even imagine something like that having. I can't even speak about it because it's so crazy to think. But sometimes there isn't anyone to blame. The grandfather, the cruise ship, sometimes tragedy just strikes and there's no one to blame, but I do not blame her for wanting an answer, wanting some kind of closure.
Like she wakes up every day and her child dies every morning. Right. Over and over and over again.
I never thought about that.
Every morning. So, and she wants someone to blame. And to be honest, in the law, if an accident occurs, you look to see if something there was negligent. And in my opinion, I'm not a judge or a jury in this matter, but you don't have an open window 11 floors up in a specific area for children in a water area. You don't. And so I think that's on them. The grandfather didn't see. He thought the whole thing was paneled. The kid loved to bang on windows like the hockey glass rink, ice, what do you call it, the glass around a hockey rink. And so they were doing the thing they always do, and it just went tragically. But to be honest, that's on, some of this is on the cruise ship, I think.
Let me pose another question, because I know this is just tragedy. Yeah.
It is a terrible accident.
But even, what would $5 million ease your pain? You know what I mean? Like, what would you do with that money, even if you did win a lawsuit?
You certainly want them to close the window so this doesn't happen to another child,
absolutely.
right? Like, you want this to get publicized and brought out. You also probably do want some money to start a foundation in this daughter's honor, or to do something. You're going through grief. You have a lot of medical bills, or therapy bills, legal bills.
Just me personally, again, I can't speak on this, but I wouldn't be able to purchase a car or a home with that money without thinking this is why I have this.
Well, that also is a part of why people have life insurance. Yes, you want to make sure that you are getting your affairs in order so that you're not passing them on to someone else. However, there is a mourning process and there's a mourning period, and the more freak accident it is and the more unexpected it is, the more sometimes you need some assistance just getting regular things done. So I can understand why that gets monetized, and I don't think that comes from a place of greed. I think it comes from a place of, we don't know what happens when things like this happen to a family.
True.
Beautifully said.
True. All right, guys, we're going to move on now. Police are searching for answers right now in the double homicide of this young couple. They were found dead on the side of a remote highway in British Columbia, but the authorities are investigating, are also apologizing right now after they used, check this out, a cat filter on a press conference video they posted at Facebook. Just look at those ears and whiskers on there. On the police sergeant, that's who's speaking right there. Obviously, we were just talking about mistakes. This had to be a mistake.
Yes.
You know, this wasn't done maliciously or trying to be funny in any way, I would assume.
Right, but if you're someone like a detective department or a police department that's interested in details, someone should have been regulating that feed, and someone should have seen how disrespectful that is to the family, and someone should have stopped it. They also said it's an automatic cat filter. Unless there's a different filter in Canada than here, that's simply not true. You have to click the button. So do I think this is horrendous, malicious? No. This is very disrespectful to someone, the family that's going through this, and they could have done better.
How about a positive side to this? We probably wouldn't be doing this story had this not happened. So now there's more eyeballs. It's a national story now. Maybe it's better to catch whoever did this to these people. Maybe that's the positive side to this.
Well, yeah, that would be the priority.
Right.
I'm sure the parents and the families would appreciate that too.
Yeah, again. Just a mistake.
Another accident, but you know, when you look for someone to blame.
But I think people are scared in today's society to be like, listen, I screwed up. I don't have an excuse. I just screwed up today.
Into my head, they should have said that.
Yeah, I don't think people take that. They wouldn't take it. They'd be like, yeah, you screwed up, and another, they'll pile on.
It's just crazy.
That's why people don't apologize anymore. They don't. I mean, sometimes, like, legally, it's probably just not a good thing. So you have to go, oh, well, we don't know what happened about the automatic cat filter, and really just say things that insult your adult intelligence.
Exactly. All right, guys. Should parents be separated from their kids if they can't afford to pay their kids' school lunch? A Pennsylvania school district is coming under fire right now after sending a threatening letter to parents saying that their child could be removed from their home and placed in foster care if their parents didn't settle their kids' lunch debts.
Okay, this makes me so angry, and I understand. The first thing I thought of was when I was going through major financial hardship. I had a debt collector call me and threaten to come to my place of employment and embarrass me in front of everyone, and that was just my reputation. This is a debt collector trying to trying to threaten a parent with the custody of their child. First of all, if you're a superintendent of a school, you should know what protocol is when you have to call in DCFS, Department of Children and Family Services, or whatever it is, because you aren't going to automatically send a child to foster care. That's not how it works. You're abusing the system by even threatening to do that. They would ask to see or figure out who the next of kin is anyway, and reunification is always the goal. There are over 400,000 kids in foster care. So what, you're supposed to treat foster care as if it's some kind of receptacle for kids?
Right.
That's what that superintendent says, which means that they are so in the dark about the need for organizations like CASA the need for more resources when it comes to children and family services, and that's the way that they want to use it, it's disgusting.
It is. It's like a microcosm about how I think people treat poor people, let's just call it what it is. Instead of saying, hey, I see a problem, a $22,000 debt. Some kids are going hungry in one of the poorest locations in Pennsylvania. How can we gather around and help our student environment, right? Instead, it's how can we punish these students for being in the hole that they're in? And when you do that, you criminalize or punish an entire class of people, and you never allow them to raise up out of poverty. Right now in New Zealand, they're dealing with guns right now, and they're trying to say maybe it should be seen as a privilege and not a right. So they're looking at it as investment into their own people. This school
but
wasn't
that's the
interested
problem,
in
Tori.
their
They're not
people.
looked at. These kids are not looked at as people.
You're
They're looked at as
absolutely right.
burdens. That's why we have kids in cages while we're alive in 2019 in the United States of America. There are kids in cages right now because those people are not looked at as people. If we were taking Canadian kids every year, about 1,500 people while they're just out boating, especially because you know Ontario and Detroit are right there. A lot of people that are out boating cross the international line all the time. They're given lunch by the Border Patrol and brought back to the United States or vice versa. If we took a blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid from Vancouver and put them in a cage and put them people would lose their mind. Right now, it's going on because those people are not looked at as people. Kids that live in the ghetto are not looked at as people. They're looked at things that infest areas. They look at things that don't even deserve a name. Just like, oh, there's another one. Just have another one. Just we'll take it. We'll pay for everything. The people are looked at that are on welfare, they're looked at less than. People that go to poorer schools are looked at as less than. And this is why we're having this conversation because, yeah, you can't pay your lunch, you can't pay for some nuggets. We'll just take one of your kids. You'll have another.
How is that even up?
It's
you said, how are they so comfortable saying that?
It's just the fact that even comes out of your mouth to threaten to take somebody's child.
And I think the total for the whole school was $22,000, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah.
How many people can't afford the car that they're driving, can't afford the handbags that they have, the house that they live in?
So
way more than $22,000.
And no one's telling them they're going to take
we're going to take your kids because you didn't make a car payment on your whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're right.
Great point.
It is how people view it. All right, guys, Tom Brady is catching flack right now for a video he posted to Instagram and has New England Patriots fans very concerned, as well as some parents. Let's watch. See, he goes at the end, 1, 2, 3, jump.
Oh, he's
And if you watch the beginning of that video, the daughter's actually waiting for Tom to come up there. She's like, get up there. And if you look again, I don't know, we'll play it one more time. She hesitates to jump, so he thinks they're going. And as a parent, I feel like he did the right thing by pulling her away from those rocks because he didn't want her to hesitate.
I think you're absolutely right.
I think he did this is exactly how it handled. I think he's perfectly right. Would I have posted this video? Absolutely not.
Hell no. Because to be honest, no, he didn't do anything wrong, honestly. She was hesitant. He had momentum.
Well, they didn't have the best form going in.
That's true.
That hurt.
He says when they hit the water, he's like, it's 1, 2, 3, go.
Jump.
Yeah.
But the rocks and her going in sideways makes me think maybe you shouldn't have posted it because of the parent police. But you know what? The parent police is always going to be there.
And also, I think
this is hilarious.
Why you say that?
Because this is the same table I was sitting at when the young woman was pushed off because she hesitated to jump from a cliff, and everybody was all up in arms and wanting the woman who pushed her to go to prison. And because it's Tom Brady, we're like, that was the safe way to do it.
That was a violent
No, wait, hold on. That's the safe way to do it. That's the safe way to do it. But if I was the mother, I'd be like, the safest way to do it is not to have my child up on a cliff like you done lost your damn mind.
Yes, I know, Erica, but at some point, because I'm sure you've done things that scared the heck out of you. Jeff, I'm sure you have. You blew your bicep out on a bull, for God's sake. You've got to do some stuff to kind of wake yourself up a little bit and to scare yourself a little bit. And part of life is...
Jeff was an adult when he did that.
Yeah, but he had lost him with him.
But we also don't know if, like, at 6 she was like, I really want to do this.
She was the first one up on that rock. I think this is a lot different than pushing someone off of a bridge.
Also, a parent.
The parent's with you, and I think
I'm just saying,
would you let
it's
your
just a
6-year-old
hilarious conversation.
Would you let your 6-year-old jump off of that if you were in Jamaica?
No,
Absolutely not.
Well, what age?
I'm on the ground, you're on the ground, okay? We're all on the ground. If you want to make some decisions after you are off of my health care and insurance, you do whatever you want to do.
So at 24 they can start doing stuff?
Yes, exactly.
So they
the
can't
same
do
way I was allowed to do
Erica,
things
that's-
when I was under my
Take
own
the bubble
roof.
wrap off your kid.
Running a tight
No,
ship
I'm just
over there.
saying.
Wow.
All
I'm
right,
just
guys,
saying.
DBL is live, and coming up in just a minute, the Lion King live-action remake roars into theaters, and you'll never guess who teared up. Plus, John Cena is the ultimate nice guy. Corey goes one-on-one with the wrestler turned movie star to find out how he's giving back to America's first responders. And you, the viewer, you're the fifth host. Amazon has banned books about gay conversion therapy, but some congressional Republicans want them back online. Your comments next when we come back.
I don't know if I agree with Erica's don't let them do anything till they're 24 off the insurance. You gotta, it's hard. It's hard though.
And do you know what people do? Like, you know what I did as a kid that my parents weren't there?
Oh,
you know, I would used to be like, swing off my garage because I thought I was Tarzan and just fall on my back. You know, like from a story or two. Like, we did crazy things, you know?
Right, that's the point though. You
But if
can
you're-
do something like that on your own. I don't know if I would, and I'm not, trust me, like, your children, your thing, like, it has nothing to do with me. But I do find it interesting that we're having conversations about the safest way to take a risk. I mean, it's still taking a risk.
I think people are overreacting. I think that wasn't that big of a jump. And if he hadn't been there and she hesitated, that's when she could have got hurt. I think him pulling her out and making sure that they all jumped together was the safest way to go about it. That's just my opinion. Because I'm gonna be a little more risky with my children, should I say? I want to protect them, but I'm gonna be like, yeah, let's jump off some cliffs, you know?
Yeah. It's
That's not. Am I going to jail?
No, I think you have to have a feeling of when boundaries hit and fear hits. Do you push your kid? I don't know. I'm not a parent. I've never done that. But do you push your kid to go for it, or do you keep them?
Yeah, it was
safe, right?
And it wasn't like he was like, get up here.
Right,
Let's
she
do
was
this.
like waiting
She was
for
like,
him.
let's
yeah.
go. You know?
Yeah, and I also think so. A lot of people writing in saying one is jumping with your professional athlete dad, the other's being unexpectedly shoved off a bridge. Use some discretion, says Michael Loveland. Rib Rotgut thinks we are being communist, I think, or delusional.
Communist about what?
He says they are not cages. They are fenced-in pens for their own protection.
Oh.
That's obviously about the.
That's a nice way to put it.
I know. I was like, guys, I don't know if I'm going to say that. I was like, can I say that with a straight face, Erica?
Welcome back to DBL. It's time for Fifth Host, and we talk about what you're talking about. Some Republicans want Amazon to lift its ban on selling gay conversion therapy books. Last month, the company announced it would no longer carry the books after an online petition with 80,000 signatures surfaced, calling these books dangerous and destructive. Now, a group of conservatives is lobbying to lift the ban because the books are being censored and do not violate Amazon's policy. So, DBL Nation, should Amazon sell gay conversion therapy books? Let's get right to the comments.
All right, Donna from YouTube says, will Amazon stop selling the King James Version of the Bible too? What happened to religious freedom? Donna, I don't know. I'm not sure that this has to do with religious freedom. I think we're talking about a situation that to me is very ironic because you have a group of people who want laissez-faire, government hands-off, but then also want a how-to book to convert someone that is not them.
Interesting.
It's very strange to me that this is what they're wanting to.
The hill they're
this is the hill you want to die on. Why do people care so much about converting someone else from something else?
Because they don't like gay people, Erica. Brianna from Facebook says, But the Anarchist Cookbook is still available on Amazon. Yeah, another thing that should be sold. I think this is what happens when we have any type of discussion. A lot of times, and I appreciate that comment, I know what you're saying. Anytime we have these kinds of discussions, people go, well, yeah, it's called whataboutism. Well, what about this? Well, what about this? It's like, let's just focus on the one thing we're talking about. Should gay conversion books that have been shown to be detrimental to the mental health of young gay people, should we sell those? The answer is no, and I think we all know that. So stop selling it. Who's buying that?
That was very good. Brooke from YouTube, says, I don't agree with the subject matter because I'm a homosexual. However, that does not mean I believe in censorship either. Thanks for writing in, Brooke. A great point of view from someone with skin in the game. I am a Puritan with freedom of speech. I really, really am. However, the Solicitor General has said that conversion therapy not only doesn't work, it's destructive and harmful and can cause suicide. So what Amazon is doing is saying this is an imminent act of destruction. Therefore, we're going to take it down, much like you can't have a manual of how to make a bomb on Amazon. Now, remember, before you jump down my throat, Amazon's not the government. So the First Amendment doesn't apply bubkiss to Amazon. They are a private company. They have their own policy. If you think it should trickle down into people and conglomerates like Amazon, that's another matter. But to them, this is not just an opinion about religion. It's an act that can be dangerous for your health.
All right. Nailed it. Thanks for letting me get one in there.
I'm so sorry.
Coming up on DBL, country star Keith Urban is getting personal. We'll tell you how his lyrics are making wife Nicole Kidman blush. And we find out for ourselves why John Cena really is the nicest guy in Hollywood. Don't miss Tori's interview next.
Hey DBL Nation, it's Raquel here with the DBL Digital team. It's time for Fast Blast, where we give you all the news you need to know in under 2 minutes. So let's get that timer up and get started. So travelers, listen up. At least 19 people have died in Costa Rica after drinking tainted alcohol. 30,000 bottles were seized and suspected of containing tainted methanol. Now, small amounts are common in fermented drinks, but large amounts could be deadly. Now let's switch gears here. What if I told you there were some aliens here on Earth? Cue that creepy music.
Greetings.
An Oklahoma animal shelter doesn't want you to storm Area 51, but flock to their doors and adopt these out-of-this-world creatures. Now, as a proud owner of a shelter pet, I can tell you the love you'll have for them will soar across the galaxies. Now, if Disney is the most magical place on Earth, Mickey is getting greedy and ready to take over the skies. Get ready for Disney Airlines in 2021. I'm talking flight attendants in costume and Musketeer-shaped food. This will either be the coolest or scariest flight you'll ever take. And finally, one family's fishing trip took a turn into Jaws territory this weekend. Doug Nelson and his son caught what felt like a good-sized fish. Well, a great white shark agreed, snapping up that fish faster than you can yell, viral video. And that's Fast Blast for today. See ya.
Give me a line. We do what I say, and we do it now.
He said no! We're a go for extraction.
No, wait, what?
Ooh, welcome back to DBL. That was a clip from the new movie Playing with Fire, starring John Cena. John Cena! Is that right? Okay. Yeah. Well, the movie comes out this fall, but a nationwide contest for first responders to meet John Cena starts now. And we know we have a lot of DBL Nation viewers that are first responders. So I sat down with the WWE star to get the details, so take notes. That's in today's Chatting with the Stars. John Cena, welcome to Daily Blast Live. First off, congratulations on making your official Fast and Furious debut. But I must ask, the photo they put on Instagram, Vin Diesel is in front of you flexing. So do you think he's doing that on purpose to outshine your magnificent biceps?
I think you're trying to start a little bit of controversy where there is none.
Well, speaking of new movies, the Playing with Fire trailer finally dropped. It looks hilarious and adorable. So I want you to tell me about this contest you're doing for the movie, because a lot of first responders watch DBL, including Denver Fire and a bunch of others. So let us know about this.
Yes, so hilarious, adorable, all that stuff. Playing with Fire is a wonderful ride for the whole family. Kids will laugh, adults will laugh, and the environment is created around these elite first responders called smoke jumpers.
What kind of firefighter are you?
The Playing with Fire hooked up with Good Housekeeping, and we've come up with this hometown heroes concept, where if you are a first responder, and that's fire, medical, police, whatever, or if you know a first responder, because a lot of times they're extremely brave, but also extremely humble.
Humble, yes.
Go to goodhousekeeping.com right now and tell their story or tell your story.
Amen. We bow down here to any first responder, and I'm so glad you're giving them the spotlight they so well deserve. Besides being a WWE star, you might be known for how nice you are. You've done more Make-A-Wishes than any other human being. Talk to me about that.
Thank you very much for bringing up the Make-A-Wish.
Absolutely.
It's something that provides me with constant joy and constant fulfillment. It's an indescribable feeling to see the happiness and the joy on the faces of the children and the families that I meet.
Wow.
So if you're out there and you're listening, take the extra step, take the extra second, and try to choose kindness.
Well, thank you. You are such a gentleman. What a pleasure. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks again.
Thanks. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Goody.
Renee Johnson's son, who was in Ozark, right? Was that the one we found out he was in Ozark?
Yes.
Was it Ozark, Renee? Anyway, her son is going to be in the new Mr. Rogers film.
That's really cool.
And we hope that he didn't get cut. So Renee, let us know what part he's supposed to play so we can all hear about Mr. Johnson. Also, I wanted to respond to Rib Rotgut, who says, trying to change someone's homosexual orientation will probably be ineffective, but people should have the right to pursue it if they want. And I totally would have agreed with you, except that the Solicitor General has gone further and said that these conversion therapies are like physically harmful. But I do tend to agree with you. You can just ignore it. But apparently, it's more destructive than ever, and it can be it can cause suicide, which it already has. So it's a fine line. This one. This is a fine line. So I want to know what you think.
Let's be honest. You're teaching self-loathing. That's what it is.
Yeah, you're teaching to be self-hatred towards yourself.
Why would you need to go somewhere to change who you fundamentally are? I mean, what message are you sending to that person?
Right. He wrote back, Rib, thanks for writing back. What's going to happen with these laws that prevent therapists from gay conversion therapy is they will be reluctant to talk to patients who are struggling with their sexuality. Okay. Actually, 2 therapists sued to go to the Supreme Court because they didn't have the rights to speak about being gay is not a choice. And they felt that gay conversion therapy overtook their right to give good therapy, which is you're okay to be gay. So it's a very confusing process. But if Amazon deems the book to be harmful and inciting imminent violence to oneself, they're going to can it. They're going to ban it. Now, they do have books on suicide on there and how to commit suicide. So you're like, it's a very tough, thin line. Margot says, good job on this Cena interview. Love that he gave a shout out to first responders. Yeah, Denver Fire, I know you guys watch a lot, and Shay from the Denver Fire team. You guys should apply for this first responders contest. I had nothing else.
That was good.
Okay.
Love sharing your comments, right, Al?
That we do, Jeff.
That you're so prepared for.
Look, I'm ready for these comments. I know you guys are too.
I like the anticipation.
Thank you, Jeff. We got to let it build. Okay, Michael from YouTube says he's talking about Tom Brady. One is jumping with your professional athlete dad. The other is being unexpectedly shoved off the bridge. Use some discretion. I think that's coming right at you, Erica.
Why would I need to use discretion?
I don't know. Veronica says the parent police rears its ugly head again. People just want something to complain about. So obviously a lot of people are team 12. All right.
That's Tom Brady.
That's Tom Brady.
Oh.
Okay.
Yes, of course.
All right. He's got 6 Super Bowls. Maybe
That's it. That's right.
And he went to your school.
He's a football player.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. And dealing with the Amazon controversy, Rib on YouTube says, I'm a homosexual and I have no issues with Amazon selling these books at all, although I don't like politicians pressuring companies to bend to their will.
Very true.
So I love that we get perspectives on all sides.
And I like his name, Rib.
Yeah.
Rib.
Got me hungry.
What's
Baby back ribs.
All right, please come back. Here's what's coming up next on Daily Blast Live.
The Lion King dominates the box office and our hearts. Who's the tough guy superstar who was reduced to tears by the movie? Then, Kiss and Tell with Keith Urban. You won't believe what he calls wife Nicole Kidman in the bedroom. And a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air
Welcome back to the DBL Stream Team. I'm Leo, here to talk about the trending shows on Amazon, Netflix, and Hulu, guys. This week we've got a special edition for you with the Emmy nominations, so let's dive right in. Starting the pack is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel with 20 nominations. It stars Rachel Brosnahan as Midge Maisel, a housewife in the 50s who pursues a comedy career. Catch this Amazon original streaming on Prime, guys. It's witty, it's funny. Rachel Brosnahan is hilarious in it, so catch it streaming now. Next up, When They See Us has 16 nominations. This documentary by Ava DuVernay tells the story of the Central Park jogger case from 1989. You can watch this show now on Netflix, and this is a really deep one, guys. It really depicts the true story of the Central Park Five, so take out some time and catch this one on Netflix right now. After that is Russian Doll on Netflix with 13 nominations. The show follows a young woman in New York City who must find out why she keeps dying and the night keeps repeating itself. You can stream this original on Netflix right now, and it really reminds me of Groundhog Day chopped down into a series. This one's pretty exciting, guys, so catch it streaming on Netflix. The Handmaid's Tale snagged 11 nominations, and this is set in a horrible future where a woman is forced into being a concubine for an evil dictatorship. You can stream this on Hulu now, and another deep one, but guys, this one deserved all the nominations it got. Next up, Our Planet got 10 nominations, Ozark received 9, and Beyonce's Homecoming got 6. You know what that means? Netflix came in the top 3 again. Last year it actually passed HBO, but this year, not quite. Netflix has 117 nominations while HBO has 137. You can blame Game of Thrones for that, even though the last season was kind of shaky. Game of Thrones broke the record with the most Emmy noms ever at 32 nominations. Let us know which one of these shows you watch and who you want to see win an Emmy. Catch the Emmys on September 22nd. And we'll see you next.
Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Because everyone's talking about this.
Always live. Always real. Always unpredictable.
You are totally off base here.
Log on and join our live conversation.
You think this hair just naturally stays like this?
DBL starts right now.
Welcome to Daily Blast Live. We are live. Let's get to it, guys. The Lion King is a big hit at the box office. It made $185 million during its opening weekend, despite the bad reviews. The audience loved it, giving the movie an 89% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. That's pretty good. And Aquaman actor Jason Momoa is on the same page. He posted these photos on Instagram with his family, saying the movie made him cry numerous times. Now, I'm still going to go see this. I kind of want the buzz to kind of die down down because it is going to be my son's first time in the theater.
Right.
I don't want him ruining other people's experiences, which he probably will. But,
no, he won't.
I mean, I'm probably going to cry too, you know, during the whole scene where Mufasa dies. Spoiler alert, I'm sure everybody knows. I'm definitely crying. I mean, it's not even an option.
Man, I cried during Beyonce's homecoming. I did. I honestly did. I had time before the show, and I wanted to take some time and watch it. And honestly, just seeing the preparation that she put herself through, I honestly had like that Wayne's World moment. It was like, I'm not worthy. Like it was, she almost killed herself to put on a perfect show, and it was really overwhelming for me.
Yeah, they said she did 8 months of work for 2 hours, and if you ever complain, think about Beyonce doing that again. I cried during Inside Out, the last movie I cried. I don't know if you guys know it.
I remember that.
It's like a little girl, and inside there, each emotion, like joy, sadness, happiness, excitement, and it really helps kids explain their emotions. And I bawled. I really bawled.
Okay. That movie, that reminded me of the cartoon, but like Up. Did you ever see Up?
Yes. The love story.
I should have put that one in there because that one really, I was like watching that. I wasn't expecting it, but Armageddon gets me every time.
Oh, yeah.
At the end.
Stay awake.
Oh, no. I can't, I shut it off when it comes to that part. I'm like, okay, movie's over.
Yeah.
When Bruce Willis like throws Ben Affleck out of there and then the daughter's against the glass. Anytime you're against glass like that,
That's bad.
It's not a good.
Jeff, did I ever tell you a friend of mine I went to college with, she was on a date and they went to go see Armageddon. She was like, it was like a first date, and she said the scene where the heavyset astronaut gets blown into the atmosphere and gets killed. She said her date fell apart to the point where to the point they had to leave the theater. Like this guy was sobbing. So like
that wasn't even the bad part.
Yeah, I know. But she said, I don't know what it is, what that man on that rock represented. But she was like, this dude fell apart. This woman's a dentist now. Yeah, so every time I think about Armageddon, I think about that date.
I feel like crying right now. You have a movie?
Well, Saturday I watched Waiting to Exhale for the 52nd time, and I cried as if it was the first time.
Oh, so good.
What scene?
I cried throughout the whole thing, but at the end, when Wesley Snipes' character says to Angela Bassett's character in the note that he hand writes to her, and he's like, "Do you know what inspiration is? It's someone coming into your life when you least expect it, and letting you know that everything's gonna be okay." Like, I don't know. I was like, I know. I understand that.
I don't know. You showed me this thing on Netflix, Brené Brown.
Brené Brown.
Yes. Daring Greatly.
She just told, I just watched it last week. She said, you have to watch it. And I was in the green room on break. And at the end, she told the story about, just watch it. And she told the story about her daughter getting off the blocks. I was like, crying in there by myself. I'm like, Erica, what did you make me watch?
Brené Brown is
It's really good.
It really is good.
Really
but I cried in there by myself.
That's what you do every day,
The pillow was a little wet.
Oh, boy.
That sounded weird. All right, we're moving on. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban are couple goals. Do you know Keith writes about his wife in some of his songs? Listen to the lyrics for Gemini. Now Nicole is responding in a new interview that says, quote, "I don't censor his art, but it is a little embarrassing. It's better than saying, God, I'm so bored. Make an effort, Nicole."
She's so cute.
Yeah, I think this
you don't
is
like
great.
being sarcastic?
No, I think she's darling.
Oh, okay.
I think she's wonderful. I think I always think about her and Tom Cruise and what a weird relationship that was. She's no longer in touch with her kids from that marriage, and it's this hard thing that she recreated herself as an older woman. She's still seen as sexy with Keith Urban, and I think there's something to be said about making marriage sexy.
I like that idea.
You know what I mean?
I think monogamy, even like when you watch a sitcom, it's like the guy's on the couch and she's taking pot shots at his manhood, and they're running jokes because they never sleep together. And that's like almost every sitcom. And whether I know it's jokes, but that kind of slips in like people are just, I think a lot of people are like, I don't want to get married. They want to keep playing the field because playing the field looks way more fun. And I think if you made marriage look like, hey, she's every night still. I need an IV. You know, I like that.
Dehydrated.
That's right.
So Al's not scared to talk about his sex life, but are you keep things a little bit more private for your husband?
You know, it's interesting. My husband's Canadian, and I swear they're a little bit less puritanical about sex than Americans are. But I personally, I think if there was an issue, I'd be less inclined to talk about it publicly. But since there isn't an issue, then yeah, I don't mind having a conversation about it. I'm not going to go into like X's and O's. It's more like color.
You don't.
I go into the X's and the O's.
But I feel like people get into X's and O's when it's bad. I feel like people get in there.
Right.
But like when it's really good, I mean, maybe there might be somebody that's like on the fence with somebody getting married, and if they hear you talking at dinner like, last night, this man. You know, and I don't know. I think that might help a little bit.
By the way, I just said give us some examples as a joke, but no one said anything, and now I just look like a creep. So I just want to put that out there.
Text me after the show.
We don't have kids yet. I'm 37. It's like we spend a lot of time. Things are going really well. Why not be like, yeah, they are.
Yeah. I also think it's important, and I guess it depends on how you grew up. Like my parents are very like business minded. It was all about making sure that we were striving and thriving. I really, and I said this to my parents, like I really want to have a relationship that if we have children, I want my husband to pinch my butt.
Absolutely.
And I want him
See that.
to kiss me like romantically because I think that although what my parents did was amazing and we benefited from it, I think they might have lost a little something as a result.
Keep that romance alive.
Yeah, so now they're doing it now. Oh, and they're lake house.
boy.
Yeah. Whoa.
Roosevelt.
Erica won't talk about her sex life, but her parents?
Yeah.
Put it on the table.
Do your parents hit you with that, hey, call before you come over? Just saying, call before you come over.
There's a sock on the door. All right, guys, Macy's is facing a lot of backlash right now for these plates. Check these out. They have circles on them with the labels. Take a closer look here. Okay, we going up. This one says skinny jeans on it, and on the inside circle, it says favorite jeans, and on the outside, it says mom jeans. People on Twitter are calling out the department stores saying these plates promote eating disorders, and Macy's has removed the plates, admitting they missed the mark on this product.
Okay, really quick, I just want people to understand, because a lot of people wrote in being like, oh my God, just walk past them, just walk past them. What I don't think a lot of people realize is that when you walk past it as a girl, especially in Macy's or in a department store, you're picking up symbols and signals of what is trendy and on brand, right? So if this is on trend, if the jean shorts are on trend, if the mannequins look skinny, and you're maybe not even wanting to take it in, but you're absorbing that as funny or okay to laugh about. And when we say it's okay to laugh about, and there's been a context of eating disorders with it, I think we as a country can just do a little better. Now, I'm not freaking out. I'm not panicking. I'm just like, yo, we could probably do better.
I mean, fine. I could give you the TV answer and just say, fine, you're right. But for me, there's bad things that happen every day, okay? To me, this plate is nothing. It's about portion control. I have pictures of my weight when I was my heaviest on my fridge. I like this kind of motivation and positive reinforcement.
But you put that photo up. They put that up so you can't.
But then get a different plate. We can't put a Band-Aid on every single thing in society and think that our kids are going to live a perfect life.
Right. And Jeff, I agree with you. And what I think we're forgetting about is like they're not there to offend you or talk about eating disorders. They're there to sell plates. And the way that you can't just sell a white plate, they won't sell as well. So you have to put something on there to get Erica, who's walking like this, to stop for a second. That's what advertising, it has to get you to stop. It has to say something. They might miss the mark, but I remember there was a billboard when I lived in Los Angeles that when you drove, it said, your wife is hot. And I was like, what does that mean? I looked up and said, time to fix your air conditioner. I thought that was like a clever thing for you. But it stops, it makes me look at it, and I remember it.
Challenge something.
You can't, but I'm just saying we're asking a lot of companies to have to sell their product. The ad firm that they have promises that I will get everybody on this panel to stop and look at your product. Whether they buy it or not, I can't help you on that.
I'm not asking a lot. I'm asking for that company to just take responsibility for half their audience.
I'm not saying they didn't miss, but I'm saying like this is their whole job.
But you
is to
should
get
know
you to
it's
stop.
2019, skinny jeans with a small
But they had other plates. One was like foodie. The next one was like food coma. I mean, is that okay?
Yeah, because you're not measuring success in terms of how good it can be. We all know skinny jeans is the goal.
What about people that are starving? And it says food coma. Isn't that disrespectful to them because they can't afford food?
I guess historically.
But I mean, are we going to pick apart every single thing in society now?
Yes, Jeff, that's why we'll always have a show.
Because you said that we can't sell a white plate. Well, guess what? That's all it's going to be now. We're going to walk around in a black and white world that doesn't offend anybody.
Designs that don't have to challenge a girl all the time to keep her feeling like she must be skinny. You don't think they could
if you
make
walk
that
by,
a better
listen,
plate?
I understand your argument, and I'm just for the sake of television arguing with you. If you walk by that plate and you feel some kind of way like you need to go see a therapist, you probably need to go see a therapist.
No, I'm saying it's subliminal. Lots of girls are walking by with images being sent to them over and over, and when there's so many of them, you start to believe it.
You believe what you want to believe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't help when there's always messages saying skinny, skinny, skinny. I'm just telling you, as a girl, I didn't even know the messages I was seeing that I was seeing.
Erica, do you agree with this?
It's true.
I think the plate's tacky. I'd never buy it.
Okay.
Who wants one now?
But Erica,
it's
now
just
that I
tacky
can't have
play.
you're a grown woman, do you think this would have affected younger Erica? Because you said you've had issues with your weight, like not heavy, but just like working out and stuff like that.
Yeah, but those came later. I didn't have the issues like growing up about like eating disorders and stuff. I always had a very positive outlook until I was told that I shouldn't have. So it came from a more professional place than it did.
But if
like,
you didn't come
my
from
home.
that comfortable place, you might be inclined to pick up these messages a lot if you're very vulnerable in that space.
No, I totally agree with you. I also think it's an ugly place.
It's a definitely ugly place.
That's all.
I'm gonna get a half price some flea market after they dump them off.
eBay.
All right, guys, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood because we're getting our first look at the new Mr. Rogers movie. And Brandon, he really sells it, coming in hot.
You know, Jeff, you gotta feel it when you say it. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
A beautiful day for a neighborhood.
A beautiful day for the neighborhood, and you have to say it right, Brandon. Like, you at least got to say it right. So I'm going to go to this trailer and what's in the copy. So in the trailer, we see a cynical journalist decide to follow the optimistic Mr. Rogers for a magazine article and find out if he's really the guy everyone loves on TV. Take a look.
Profiling Mr. Rogers.
Lloyd, please don't ruin my childhood.
This piece will be for an issue about heroes. Do you consider yourself a hero?
We are trying to give the world positive ways of dealing with their feelings.
Ah, love it. You can catch Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood in theaters November 22nd. Back to you, Jeff.
I really appreciated that, Brandon London. Coming up on DBL, a boys' lemonade stand does big business with the help of a guardian angel. Don't miss the emotional heart threads. But first, a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air parody gets a group. Right?
We are confused about the opening lyrics to Mr.
No,
Rogers.
the ending.
Oh, the ending. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's
a beautiful day for a neighbor.
No.
It's
I thought
neighbor,
it was,
not
won't
neighbor.
you be mine? Oh, won't you be mine?
That's after that.
I see.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day for a neighbor. Won't you be mine?
Oh, is that
Would you be
right?
mine? Could you be my
neighbor?
They don't say, Brandon kept saying, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
He was really insistent on the neighborhood being beautiful.
It's beautiful. I don't think it's a beautiful day for a neighbor, right?
Look,
why don't we just look it up?
I'm going to channel my inner Jeff and just be like, you know what? It's just a beautiful day outside.
We got it. That's exactly what he was doing.
Somebody needs to shorten this copy.
Oh, I got a comment about someone who's a teacher. Oh, Shani Joe Levinson Friedman. You mean Mr. Rogers?
Rogers song.
I ran a home child care center for 22 years. I still let my kids watch Mr. Rogers because he teaches moral values and how to treat one another, even if you're not the same color, shape, size. They still watch Sesame Street and The Electric Company. I really truly believe that's what these young children are missing in life. Morals, values, rules, and kindness. We can all learn a lesson from Mr. Rogers. Did anyone else think he just changed his clothes too much?
I don't.
Why did he have to
I
take
thought it
off
was
his
just
sweater
really
on a different
slow.
sweater? Oh, it was so slow.
I don't know if I got down. Didn't you say there was an episode where he just had a tortoise? Like literally, we need one more thing. But it seems like
for
he was
a neighbor.
a really good person.
Yes, and he was a minister with children. And
I didn't know he was a minister.
Yes. Okay, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you? Oh, you're right. Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood? I didn't know that line.
Neither did
A
I.
neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Is this about a kidnapping? Okay.
That's right.
Welcome back to DBL. Controversy comes in all shapes and sizes, like killing geese in parks for meat or a rap video by a real estate agency going horribly wrong. Yes, these are two real stories making national headlines, and both are getting people fired up. Let's start with the geese, okay? These birds are causing quite the ruckus in our Denver backyard. 1,600 geese were just rounded up and then turned into meat for food banks. It's all in an effort to control the geese population here in Denver, and the parks are overwhelmed with these geese. All right, we're getting too wordy with this thing. Do we want to eat some geese? Are they causing a problem? That's a piece. There's some protesters. A lot of people think the city's plan smells foul. Should the geese have been spared? Or did the city do things right? Head to dblvote.com to chime in. All right, did you guys get it?
Yeah.
Now, the good thing is they're being resourceful. People didn't get that from that brilliantly eloquent
It was very detailed and specific.
Beautiful.
What's going on
very
here
technical.
in our backyard of Denver.
Yeah, they're taking the geese, they're killing the geese, but they're using the meat for food to the homeless shelter. So they're resourcing the meat.
Yeah. Which I think is a good idea. Right. I think it's a win-win. They are a nuisance in some areas. If you own property or a golf course, it's costing a lot of money to clean this off of certain places.
Let's just say it. There's goose blank everywhere.
Yeah, there's goose poop everywhere. You could say that.
Yeah.
And they are a nuisance. They're overpopulated. So by taking this meat and giving it to the homeless or giving it to food banks that need it, I think it's a win-win.
Yeah, I mean, not for the geese, but yes, everybody else. I mean, honestly, this is really the best way. I mean, honestly, when you kill an animal, you don't want to waste it.
Right.
And rather than giving it some kind of poison that it takes back to other geese and kills, and then we have a bunch of dead geese on a golf course, let's cook it, give some people some strength to maybe help continue to put themselves back on their feet. So I'm all for this.
All right. Should the geese have been saved? No.
Whoa.
They shouldn't have.
That's a harsh way of putting that
Let's be honest. Can we just be honest? Geese are mean.
No, they hiss. I got hissed at yesterday. I did.
They're mean, and they poop everywhere, and people are not with that. That's why they don't have a lot of advocates. Geese chased me one time around a lake when I was a little kid. Me and my little sister. Yeah, they're mean.
We were walking across the thing, and as I walked, the geese went like this to me. I didn't know they hissed.
All right, good point. Denver is in the middle of another contentious debate. It's over a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air parody video by members of a real estate team. In the video, employees Wow. They took down the video, and the agency cut ties with the team. They also lost at least one client from the backlash. Was the video offensive or harmless fun? Go to dblvote.com to chime in.
Okay, so I would have preferred for Kentwood, the agency, to have just publicly stated why this was not okay, because I do think that this is a conversation that needs to be had, especially in a developing city like Denver, because gentrification is very much in the now. It's not like larger cities where our parents were dealing with this to begin with, and then it trickled down. We're seeing this as we speak, including us, who a lot of us live in gentrified neighborhoods.
I'm sure a lot of our viewers would be like, why is gentrification a bad thing?
Okay, so I have this. This is my grandparents' deed to their home.
Whoa.
It's the ledger. It has my grandparents' writing on it. It started in 1961 to 1971. That was shortly after a thing called restrictive covenants was lifted and deemed illegal in the Supreme Court in 1948. That was when blacks were not allowed to be rented to or sold to in all over the country. That's why it was such a big deal in the 70s when Trump tried to do the very same thing. Right. This is very important to me, and I keep it because black belting was where people came back from World War II, and blacks were only allowed to live in certain areas so that they were overrun. Gentrification is a way of taking away these deeds, taking away what was rightfully fought, blood, sweat, and tears from these people who have established generational homes, and now they can no longer afford to live in their own communities. And not only that, it comes down to policing using as weapons. So new people are coming in, the property value has gone up because they've paid substantially more than your grandparents did 30, 40, 50 years ago. Then now they're using police as a weapon. They're unable to stay in the homes that they've been living in generations. So gentrification is a very important issue. And as opposed to just firing people for being tone deaf, I would have appreciated some education because it's kind of a way of absolving yourself while still profiting from it and doing nothing about it.
Have a conversation.
Right.
Exactly.
Let's have this conversation at the break. 63% say no, just harmless fun. We'll be right back.
Yes.
Good one, Ryan.
What birds do you eat? Do you have duck for Thanksgiving? We have duck.
You know what? I don't know Christmas because I'm Jewish. Y'all have either a goose, don't you? Christmas goose, or ham.
I think it's ham.
Is that what you have? Or turkey. Not goose. Not a goose, but that's a thing, right?
Yeah,
like Charles Dickens.
I don't think goose.
I've never heard of it. Have you heard of a Christmas goose for dinner? Yeah. Right. Is that what
Really?
people eat
Somebody will
Christmas?
cook a goose?
No, I've heard that for sure.
Right.
Especially like older times, you know,
Like Charles Dickens time.
yeah, like what's
Right?
that story?
Tiny Tim?
Tiny Tim, yeah, I think they're having
A
like
Christmas goose.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So anyway, what do you have for Christmas? You have what? A turkey?
We have a turkey. We'll either have a baked and a fried turkey, or we'll have a turkey and duck.
Ooh, what do you have for Christmas?
We have this tradition now. My grandmother used to make raviolis, like homemade raviolis,
Oh. That's so
and now my
awesome.
mom makes them with like the grandkids, you know. So
That's
then
so good.
they
I
make them
love
earlier, we
ravioli.
freeze them, and then Christmas Day. we
Ravioli
have
might be my
raviolis.
favorite pasta.
Really?
I love it.
I'm a
They're
full-on
so good.
fettuccine fan.
Oh yeah.
Or even a pappardelle. I like a wide noodle.
Yeah, I like egg noodles. I like drunk.
Welcome back to DBL. Today's Hard Threads is all about honoring the memory of a loved one. Watch how a young boy's lemonade stand paid tribute to the hero in his life.
After this little boy lost his dad, his community made sure his lemonade stand was a smashing success. 6-year-old Brady and his dad Brandon planned to open a lemonade stand together. But Brandon lost his battle with cancer before they could. The day after his dad passed away, Brady opened for business. A police officer stopped and learned Brady's story. The officer radioed the other police, who told the firefighters, and soon Brady's lemonade stand was booming. A simple act of kindness from their neighbors meant the world to a mom and son.
What a great community. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Hey DBL Nation, welcome back to Beauty Blast. I wanted to take a moment and say, I know you guys, we miss each other so much. Let's bring it on and give a hug real quick. I miss you guys so much, but I want to make sure that you guys saw my beautiful model that I'm working with today, Miss Lex. What's up, Queen? Thank you for joining us. And today, we're going to be talking about some more red light beauty tips. Now, for today, I want to show you guys how you can just use one good old lipstick to create a whole look. And yes, honey, you're going to slay the whole summer away with this look, okay? So let's get it popping right away, guys. I'm gonna take a nice little coral lipstick that you might not be using all that often. Now, this guy's from Yves Saint Laurent, but good old Maybelline or CoverGirl works just fine too. Now, I like this guy because it is more on the matte side, and I'm actually going to use it as her eyeshadow, her blush, and her lip today. You ready, girl?
I'm ready.
Let's do this, honey. So just to start off, you're gonna need a single eyeshadow brush, there we go, and a single lipstick. Preferably more on the matte side. Shine's just gonna look real glossy, unless you're into that kind of look. Cool. Now, we're gonna take a little bit on our little eyeshadow brush here, and I'm gonna go ahead and have you close, thanks Lex, and take a little bit from the middle of the eye outwards. And on this one, I'm gonna just blend it out, and I'll have you guys take a closer look on the next one here on the other eye. Now with this, I like to use more of a dome-shaped brush because this is going to give a little bit more control with where you're placing this cream at, and it's also going to make sure that it looks very soft and even as well. Go ahead and turn that way for me. Queen, y'all check that eye out, girl. That's a whole look in itself, okay? Now I'm gonna have you guys look a little bit closer for this side. Ready, here we go. Taking a little bit. Notice I only tap a pinch onto my brush because you don't need very much when you are using it on your eye. And you're taking it from the inner portion of the eye outward, so it blends out very, very softly. This should take little to no time, guys. This is such a great way to get an instant payoff. And if you're feeling like, this might look a little too strong for me, tap that ring finger in there just to help sheer it out a little bit. Ooh, queen, this is throwing me back to my drag days, girl. I used to throw a little quick pink on the lid just like this. She was cute. Lex, girl, y'all see that? Beautiful. Now, for next time, guys, we're gonna go ahead and show you guys a little bit more of a cheek and a little bit of lip action. So stay tuned for our next video.
Welcome back. Tori, you have a quick comment?
Very quickly, Lizzie Gotts on Twitter says, thanks to Erica for the best explanation of gentrification she's ever heard.
Yeah, that was really good because I think when you see that video, you don't see that right away, but the explanation was beautiful. Excellent. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a happy Monday.